Hello, hello, hello. Development coach, and happy Sunday. I hope everybody's having a wonderful morning so far. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about a couple of different things all around coming home to yourself and what that looks like. I'm going to have a very special guest in about an hour named Anastasia. And I'm super excited to be here with you all. How is your weekend going? I hope that you've been getting rest. I hope that you've been able to charge up a bit in the middle of this Mercury retrograde slash march towards the 8-8 portal. I know that there has been so much integration happening, so much energy just around us in general as a collective. And I hope that you've had some time to like dig in and just take some time for yourself, because that's so important in times like these. As the energies is as there is an influx of energy on the planet, and it will continue to be this way, right? We're going to continue to ramp up energetically. And what happens is that the energy of the planet is ramping up, intergalactic energy is ramping up, and that's affecting us. So our human energy ramps up as well. And then we'll get to a point where it kind of mellows out. But really what's happening is that we just get used to it. It's like the energy rises, it never goes back down, but we acclimate to it. And so it just becomes our new normal. And with that new normal, it's amazing because we have heightened sensitivities, our intuitive and psychic gifts come online, we embody more of our multidimensionality, and we're experiencing different things. And so it's like we're really having this upsurge and this coming into a new human experience when you're open to it, when you're accepting of it, when you surrender to it, and when it's just, it's just your time. And we talk about this a lot in the high frequency T community, which is my membership community where women come together to develop their intuitive and psychic gifts. But it's like there might be people in your life who aren't on the same path as you, maybe not on the same journey as you, or not at the same place in the journey as you, right? And it's really easy to be like, oh, they're not doing their thing. They're not awakening. They're not conscious. They're not whatever. But really, they're just at a different point as you. And at any given time, they can awaken. So the best thing that we can do is really tune in and be like, okay, where am I on my journey? How can I support that? How can I look at everybody else in my life with compassion and grace, understanding that at one point in my journey, I was right there, and not judge, right? Because when we start to judge and get into the business of like how other people are evolving, it turns into an egoic trip rather than a soul trip, if that makes sense. Like we want to stay in this lane of like, I'm resonating with my soul, not resonating with my ego, if that makes sense. And I've had a really interesting journey when it comes to my own ego. Hi, Harmony. How are you? Hello, Michael. Thank you for joining. When it comes to just that separation, because it's very real, being able to say like, okay, the way that I'm feeling about the people in my life and how they are and how they're evolving, that's something that I need to look at. Because it's like when we move into that space of judging, we're not expressing from a soul or heart-centered place, which is fine, like no judgment on that. But it's like, is that how you want to represent yourself? Is that how you want your experience to be? Or is there something there for you to look at? And usually it really comes down to forgiveness of self. We see other people, and when that triggers us, usually there's something about our own experience, our own past, that we need to put some forgiveness on, do some processing of, and do some transmutation of that energy. Harmony says, hi, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Well, I can't see you, but nice to talk to you too. Been reflecting on a lot of control / forcing outcomes coming from ego lately. Yes. And like we're in the middle of this this pressure cooker rather, where it's like, okay, it's Mercury retrograde. We're in the 8-8 portal. Like we're moving from 7-7 to 8-8. So like we're in it. We're moving towards Lionsgate, like marching there every day. And there's just a lot of energy right now. This is one of my favorite times of the year, actually, because of this intense energy. It's like pressurized for massive amounts of alchemization, massive amounts of transmutation, but that pressure like kicks up a lot of that stuff that wants to come to the stuff. Your birthday's on 7-7. Oh, I love that. So like, yeah, that's so cool. So it's like, yeah. So and my question for you be like, what is your relationship with the Lionsgate portal? Is it something that, and like Lionsgate portal, that's something that we as human have named it, like New Age community has named it like the Lionsgate portal. And historically there is a relationship to Sirius and the alignment of our planet with Sirius, and like information and energy coming from the star systems, Sirius A and B. But still, it's like, it's, you know, like this is something that we have kind of attributed it, but there is real energy around that relationship with Sirius and other planetary things. So my question for you is like, have you had a relationship with the Lionsgate portal, or just with this period of time in general, being that you were born on 7/7? And for me, the energy, especially over the last, I would say 5 years or 6 years, when I really started to connect more with like extraterrestrials and that energy, and then like connecting with Egypt a little bit more, like ancient Egypt and Kemet. And this year has always been really powerful for me, but I didn't really know why until many years ago, when I like learned about, oh, this is the Lionsgate portal. Like, this is what this energy is. This is how it relates to Sirius. This is how, you know what I mean? So my question, yeah, for you is, has this been a time of year aside from your birthday? Yeah. Okay. Harmony says, I've been observing Lionsgate, but haven't considered the time prior. Gonna reflect on that. Yeah. Yeah. And for me, like I said, it's been a very powerful time of year for me. Lots of transmutation, lots of optimization, but it's like, it's super intense. So a lot of the things that would come up during this time of the year are really hard. They've made me like really look at myself. I complete a lot of cycles during this time of year, which I was talking about in the high frequency T community today. It's like, and when I mean complete, I mean just like go around the ring. So it's like, I can pinpoint last year at this time, and I'm like, yep, still dealing with these same ass issues. The same ass theme is like coming up again this time this year. And I have to give myself so much grace, because I'm like, okay, I'm in a way different spot than I was last year. Have learned so many lessons, integrated so many things, but it's like, you can see in your life when like you're just kind of moving around the cycle, ending it in a very similar space. I'm like, okay, how do I really move this more than it's being moved? How do I accelerate this healing so that this time next year, I'm not in the same space? And this is kind of like what you were saying, when it's like forcing and controlling the outcome. I had to come to the point where I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's okay that I'm not farther along in my healing with my quote unquote healing with this, because I don't even really know what that looks like. I think my mind wants to believe that I know exactly what my healing's going to look like. And that once I get this, once I move through this energy, then I'm going to be at this specific place. But that's just like made up shit for my mind. I have no idea what it's going to look like. So this is the first time that I've ever really seen the cycle and been like, okay, I see where I am. I see where it's happening. And I'm like, okay, I'm fine with this progress, because I really don't know. And just, Harmony, to your point of just like releasing, or that you said you were reflecting on the controlling and forcing outcomes. So it's just like, okay, what if I just like back up a little bit and just say, I don't know what this is going to look like, and be okay with that. Totally tracks. Harmony says, I'm realizing I've been worshiping my trauma as resistance to integrating healing. Been intense. Oh, that's such confirmation for me. I've been following this woman called the Queen Poe, and I was watching some of her courses yesterday, and she said, be as more dedicated to your healing than you are to your trauma. And I was like, oh God, more dedicated to your healing than you are to your trauma. Like, girl, like I always love when I find people who just read me down. Like, and this is from like, she recorded this like 6 years ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, let me put it in the chat for you. And she's on YouTube. I don't know if she's on the other platforms, but she's on YouTube. Just like that. But yeah, and it's just like, yeah, because we get And she was talking specifically about the stories that we tell ourselves and like, well, I'm like this because this happened. Or when something happens that triggers you, you get thrust back into the story of it all. Like, well, he said this or she did this and I did this and I was hurt and I've been carrying this for 20 years. And instead of like using all the energy to be like thrown back into the why of it all, like project yourself into like, okay, and now what? Like, how have I healed? How am I healing? What can I do for myself? And it takes a level of awareness and also just living in the moments, like presence and mindfulness, that is a constant struggle for us to build because our attention is constantly being sucked out and like to different places, and our brains are trained to be thinking about many different things at once. And you can see this for me a lot because what will happen with me is I'll be on a live and I will literally lose my train of thought because it's like I'm so enveloped in the mental of whatever I'm saying that like I can't even come back to my original thought. So it's like we are conditioned not to be in the present moment because we need to be thinking about what's going on all the time. And so when we bring our presence or our mind back into the present moment, that's where we can really activate that healing from rather than being like sucked back into the trauma of it all. Hi, Pacific Tree Frog. How are you? I'm sorry to hear about that fence back there. So that was crazy. You guys doing okay over there now? Was there any flooding? Harmony says acceptance too. It happened. We can't change that by rehashing it. Yeah. And this is something that I have struggled with a lot of my life, most of my life, and I still struggle with it where it's just like it almost feels good to go back over it to vindicate myself. And I've realized over the past multiple years where it's like the reason that I do that is because I don't feel like I don't feel like anybody has my back, including myself. So it's like I need to rehash the story almost to like ground it in, like get it in there to make sure that my viewpoint is established, my perspective is established, and like I have my own back on it, right? It's almost like I'm convincing myself that I have my own back, or it's something like that, you know? And it's just really the prescription for me in working my way out of that, which I've been able to do with a lot of just like being really patient with myself. I'm definitely not there yet, but it's just like giving myself more self-love, self-acceptance in every situation. So it's like, even when I'm dead ass wrong on something and I do not show up the way that I wanted to, I'm like, it's okay. You know, like it happened. You said what you said, girl, like you're fine. You did the best you could, right? Instead of needing to like justify or, you know, all that different energy. Harmony says, yes, it can be addicting. It is absolutely 100% addicting. It really is. Dr. Joe Dispenza, I don't know if anybody follows him. He has an amazing book called Becoming Supernatural, I believe. And it really talks about how we are addicted to the cycles of drama and chaos because of the neurochemicals that are released, the dopamines, the adrenaline, like we're literally addicted to that. And so sometimes when our life is too calm, and things are going too well and things are too peaceful, even in the cycle of a day, it's like you need that hit. And so like you will do things and behaviors that kick that back up for you. So it's like I might be having a super fine day, everything's great, we're trucking along, positivity, and then literally my body starts to crave the adrenaline or the whatever chemical. And so I might start a mental process that will kick that up for me. Isn't that wild? So it's about establishing when that's happening for you, being like, oh, okay, this is coming on. I can feel that. Or just again, like we were talking about, being present enough to be like, oh, I'm having I'm going in a downward spiral here. Oh, I'm fixating. Oh, I'm getting myself worked up. Let me choose something different. This is something that I work with every single day of my life. Every day. This is something that I have to practice. Pacific Tree Frog says, okay, we were the only ones with flooding and damage. Oh, I hate that. It was like right over. I wonder what it was washing away. Do you feel an energetic shift from the storm last night, like afterwards? Hi, Solar H. How are you, boo? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? She says, hey, what I miss. Gee, that's so fascinating. I can see how true for me. Which part are you talking about, Pacific Tree Frog? Harmony, cultivating that presence is the work. It really is the work. I will never forget. Actually, just one second. Sorry to abandon you, but I need my drinks. I will never forget reading Not Edward Casey. Come on now. What The Power of Now? What's his name? The guy the guy who wrote The Power of Now. I can see his face, but Eckhart Tolle. And it was the first time that I ever read it, and I was just like, what? And as I was reading it, it was activating me into the present moment. And I don't think I had ever really sat in the present moment like that before. It was like I was on drugs because I was just so in the moment. Like my brain was shut off, and I was just like, whoa. Whoa, what is this? Oh, it felt so good. It was amazing. And I was like, yo, like, how long have I like, and this wasn't that long ago. This was probably like 10 years ago. I was like, how long have I not been living in the present moment, y'all? That's crazy. And so like now, and again, that was 10 years ago. So it's like my effort to like spend more and more, obviously more and more time in the present moment. But like depending on what's going on in life, the season, the stressors, I find myself more or less. And it's just, it really does affect everything else and how I'm able to process my emotions and my thoughts and how I'm able to show up. So whenever in my life things really start getting wonky, wacky, and things are just not going well, I'm not feeling well, I feel just, out of it or out of my head or just like out of control when it comes to how I'm just relating to my life. I'm like, excuse me, I'm like, I need to get more into the present moment. I need to spend more time in meditation, but also in mindfulness. Cause it's like, it's a lot easier to be present when you're sitting there meditating with your music and nothing's bothering you, right? Like not you're all alone. But I feel like the work is, can you take that same energy into your everyday life? Yes, and Harmony, get those drinks. Like I have a nice big water and also coffee. You guys, usually I'm not, well, have I? On Fridays, I do this during the daytime, but usually on Sundays, I'm in the evening, but I'm going to switch to during the daytime because I have more energy. And I've been like, okay, on Sunday evenings, it's really hard for me to be like, okay, I want to go live because I'm already zonked by that time. So I'm like, let's be a little more gentle and just do it during the daytime and see how that goes. Harmony, yes. Eckhart Tolle, Pacific Tree Frog said the adrenaline seeking for my nervous system. Yeah, it really is addicting, just like addicted to anything, like being addicted to drugs or alcohol or whatever it might be. Like, because the body gets so used to it. And it's like a surge. You're like, yeah, it's like a surge. And then, yeah. Have you ever noticed? Let me know if you guys have ever noticed this. Have you ever noticed, and maybe you guys don't do this, but when you are in a mental spiral, maybe you're thinking about something somebody did and it gets you like hyped up, or like it gets you like your adrenaline going, or you're getting angry or whatever it might be. After you get done with that train of thought, like you're exhausted, like you're tired, like you're mentally spent and you're like, ugh. Something that I notice as well too is if I'm on a cycle like that or on a spiral like that, because it takes me so far out emotionally, energetically, I'll be like ruminating in my mind. And then my son will come up to me and say something. And like, then I have to like switch gears to like talk to him. And I'm like, oh, like it's like, why am I in a bad mood? Because it really is affecting it. Like affecting everything about your energetic offering, your spiritual offering, like everything. And then imagine what that does to you energetically, aurically, as you're like coming in and out of these states for no reason other than what is being created in your mind. Like it's wild. Harmony says, isn't it fascinating how presence and breath can offer psychedelic experience? It is really, really cool. I'm going to ask you this question, Harmony and Pacific Truth, everybody here. When you think about psychedelic experiences, legal ones, when you think about that, is that something that you guys want to experience or try? I was thinking about this the other day and thinking about what I might want to try eventually, or like if I would be open to whatever. And I was thinking, this thought came into my mind because I was like, I would much rather just get into a meditative state, go to a sweat lodge, like do something like that. And be taken on like a journey in that way than necessarily introduce something to my body at this point in my life, because I don't know if it's a control thing or if it's just because I understand that I could probably get there to whatever level, whether it be like DMT or whatever it is, like whatever psychedelic thing, I could probably get there just using my own natural state with the right tools and the right processes. How do you guys feel about that? Because I've always been interested in them for sure, but I've never tried that. And I've always known intuitively, like, whenever I'm supposed to try that thing, or like ayahuasca is another example, like whenever it's time for me to try that thing, it will so seamlessly fall into my experience that I'll be like, yeah, this is definitely for me. It's not for me to go like seeking out, if that makes sense. Harmony says, yes, spiraling is exhausting. Pacific Tree Frog, at the solar age, I have had a feeling we're going to be good friends. Yes, I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, wait, I missed something. Did I miss something? I did. Pacific Tree Frog, I literally jumped out of a plane after swimming with shark once. That's so fun. Where were you? Okay. Harmony says, rumination is a symptom of nervous system distress, so it makes sense. It's exhausting. I definitely believe you can introduce those states naturally. Absolutely. Yeah. So for everybody who's just joining, my name is Amy Titus. I'm an intuitive and psychic development coach, and I help people to develop, outgrow, and believe in their intuitive and psychic gifts and really embody and embrace their multidimensionality, meaning that every aspect of you is important and the non-physical, metaphysical aspect of you is the larger part. When we start leaning in, nurturing, tapping into, and understanding, and really embodying that aspect of us, we get a much broader perspective of our experiences, of our lives, of our purpose. We get so much more clarity, so much focus. We're able to just see a different level from a different perspective, and it really helps us along our path. And today we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. I'm super excited. Here in about an hour, I'm going to bring on Minnie Driver, who is a member of the High Frequency Tea community. And we're going to be talking about some fun things around coming home to ourselves, around soul retrieval. And I'm going to be asking her some really fun questions so we can get her level of expertise. She's an amazing person. And what else are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about crystalline energy and 3 a.m. wake ups. And then also like what happens when you start to outgrow beginner rooms, when you're diving into anything, especially intuitive and psychic gifts, not especially, but including intuitive and psychic gifts and multidimensionality, like what happens to you and your energy when you start bumping up against that line that's like, okay, and now what? Okay, and I want more. And there's so many different things that happen after that or that you can expand into. And so we're going to get into that a little bit as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me over on Instagram and on YouTube. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and I will get to them. And also, I just want to say thank you to everyone in the TikTok chat. And also, one of my favorite things about having live is the dynamic conversation that I get to have with you guys, and really creating a space for just a moment in time on a Sunday or on a Friday, whenever it is, where we can come together, express our experiences, and share and connect and support each other. So again, thank you so much for being here. And let's get into it. Harmony, okay, have a great day. Thank you for joining us for a little bit and chatting. Talk soon. Minnie Driver says, breathwork for DMT works. Magic fungi opens your channels wide, letting feel bliss beyond the veil. Is that something that you're familiar with when it comes to Mama Mushroom? I'm super interested in that. Maybe we can talk about that when you're on as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about crystalline energy. Okay, so crystalline energy is Arcturian crystalline energy specifically. I'm going to tell you about how I was introduced to that, and then we'll talk about how it is in every aspect of our lives. So when this is about 3 years ago, when my Arcturian guide first came on line and introduced himself to me, he introduced himself to me in a form of energy healing first. And it was this crystalline energy that I still call on to this day in almost all of my workings and all of my energy healings, because it's so powerfully effective. And what it is the Arcturians have this technology of energy manipulation, where they have these literal crystals set up, and they're able to move the energy through crystals, healing energy through crystals, and they can direct it at any place. There is no limit. It's an infinite energy, and they can direct it at any place, period. So like here on Earth, over on Mars, Sirius, anywhere. They can direct it anywhere. There are different crystals set up all along, like all over on different planets, and they can like literally bounce energy off of the different crystals, etc. So this is how it was shown to me. And they use this energy, the way that you elicit this or that you bring it on is just through your intention and your belief. Like literally you just connect with the vibration mentally, and like in your physicality you connect with energy, and then it can be directed to you. So it's like this really interesting, and that's how you call on it. So it's almost like if you were to ring a bell, and then that bell that you're ringing gets the attention of this technology, and then it responds to you by emitting energy towards you. You following? Let me know if you're following. So I was working with this Arcturian guide and connecting with this crystalline energy, and he was showing me the different ways that he was showing me the different structures within the crystal. He was showing me the way that the crystal works, and he was showing me how the crystalline energy connects with the crystals that are literally in the crystalline grid that's in our atmosphere, in the air in general. And so every time that I wanted to connect with this, I would really just connect in with the vibration that I would feel in my body those first couple times. And I could feel it blast me, which is what I used to say. I used to say like, okay, can you blast me like with this crystalline energy? And it would literally blast me. And it looked like selenite almost, the way that it would form in my mind's eye. Like a pillar of selenite was just coming down, and then I could adjust it to whatever width and dimension and shape that I wanted to. So this, as my guide was explaining it to me, this is a energy that has been directed at planet Earth for a very long time, but it's also something that needs more and more grounding rods, meaning it needs more people to actually ground this energy into the Earth because of the Earth grid and different things that are going on and just the free will of the planet. And so different people have been connecting to this. And as I've been doing my reading, I've come across more and more people who do this, and they have different names for it. But one other lady that I saw actually called it Arcturian as well. So I was like, okay, dope. That's good confirmation about like, that's what this is. But just this really high frequency energy. And it calibrates me to the energy of that. And then I'm able to funnel this energy into the Earth, into the planet, or to whatever. And it's interesting because there are so many different groups that are sending high frequency energy to the planet right now. And this is a really good topic for Sunday as well, I feel like, because Sunday is really finally attuned for us to be focused on ourselves and what we're doing in our lives and how the energy around us and within us is affecting our experience and our intentions. And so it's like, there's so many different things that we can have our energy on, whether it be outside of us or inside of us. And a lot of us are seeking for ways to help in different ways. And it may not feel like, oh, I really want to, like help. And like, it may not feel like I want to go out and pick trash, or I want to like go protest, or I want to do these other things. It may be a calling that you want to do something on the energy, and it could be those things as well, but it may be a calling that I want to do something on the energetic level. I want to do something in a way that shifts the frequency of the planet from like the inside out. And I have been having these just downloads that more and more people are doing this. They're interested in it, and they're just feeling the call. And some people are doing it accidentally, like they don't even really know what they're doing. They're just tapping into this higher frequency energy and letting it permeate their entire being. And that's enough, right? Because it is a very primal thing. It's a very, what's that word? I always forget this one word. It's a very natural thing for us to do, based on our history on this planet, based on our ancestors and how they used to work with the energies of the planet. But it's definitely been a lost art form. And so let me know in the chat how you guys work with these energies, if these energies have been coming up for you at all. And if so, what has that experience been like for you? And sometimes when we're getting attuned to these kinds of energies, or these or even if it's subconscious in our bodies, our our spirit is starting to acclimate to these energies, we can have different symptoms. And sometimes we call them things like ascension symptoms, but sometimes it's just things like we're having new emotions, we're having new feelings, we're having new perspectives. Like we are more aware of the things around us. We're more aware of like nature, or we're more aware of emotion coming off of the people in our family. We're more aware of just the energy in the air. And it can really feel like a veil comes off of our eyes because we are being attuned to higher frequencies. And so another thing that can happen is like that 3 a.m. wake up that I was talking about on the post that I posted, I think last week, where it's like you're waking up every single night at 3:33 a.m. and you don't know why, and you feel wide awake and kind of jacked, and like you just feel like there's a lot of energy moving through you. And this is another sign that things are changing for you as it relates to your ascension, your upgrading. Your body is preparing to and starting to hold more light energy. And so your physical body has to keep up. And we talk about this a lot when it comes to ascension symptoms, like, okay, people being tired more, people having headaches, people experiencing these different symptoms. But and then it's the question is oftentimes like, what do we do with that? And how do we move through that? And the answer is like, there's nothing wrong, nothing bad is happening, but really it's just giving your body time to move through it and to process it so that your body can get upgraded to that level. Because it is, it's like when you think about growing pains that like kids go through or that adolescents go through, it's like your body is literally shifting into a new way of expressing and being that matches this heightened level of energy that your body is able to process. And so we just have to give ourselves time for that. The Solar Age says, yes, I woke up at 3 a.m. this morning, did a reading and journaled since the veil is so thin at that time. Yes. And I'm always so fascinated around what people actually do at that time. Because like for me, when I wake up, I just kind of the same thing. I just go into meditation. I just like lay there and just like start meditating and like opening up my channel and feeling what I can feel and seeing what I can see. I know some people get up and do journaling or they do yoga or whatever it is. I always just find it so fascinating. Pacific Tree Frog says, I call it witching hour for a reason. Yeah, my mom calls it the witching hour. I think that's like a very, which is interesting, right? Because it's like people have known for a very long time that time of the day, there is something going on, as in like something is available or something is happening. But isn't it so interesting that it's like the witching hour and meaning, and that has a negative connotation for a lot of people, right? Like it's a dark hour that you don't want to be caught out. You don't want to be caught, up and awake. You want to be asleep so that you're susceptible to whatever negative dark forces are going on at this time. And yeah, it's really interesting. I call the witching hour for a reason. I love doing energy work and journaling during those early morning hours. I love my sleep so much and I need my sleep so much. Like unless I think that's why I like just meditate, because I'm just praying I'll go back to sleep. Like, please just take me back to sleep. Like, do whatever you're going to do. Like, activate whatever you're going to activate. But please, let me just go to sleep. The Solar Age says, my guides told me they wish more humans knew that we are the ones who can call judgment on abusers. What do you mean by this? And I would love to know like where this is coming from. And yeah. What do you mean by that? So interesting. Pacific Tree Frog. And they don't sell lotto in the witching hours for a reason. Really? Well, they don't sell lotto tickets here anyway, which is very disappointing. I was like, what? I didn't know that. When we moved here, I was like, what do you mean they don't sell lottery tickets? I mean, I'm not like a big lotto person or a gambling person, but every once in a while throughout my adult life, I've been like, yeah, let me go snag a lottery ticket. Have you ever won anything? Absolutely not. But sometimes you just want to. And I think that there is a real power of manifestation when it comes to buying lottery tickets, because you are putting money, you're like betting on your dream. You're putting money into a dream that you have. Because I don't know about you, but whenever I used to buy a lottery ticket, I would literally, if you guys do, I'd always just spend from the time that I purchased until the time that I knew about the lottery numbers. I would just spend that time fantasizing, dreaming, visualizing, like living as if I had won. You know what I mean? So it's definitely an energy that I miss. Pacific Tree Fry. Okay, but they do sell it not far away from here in that one Arizona city on the way to Vegas. You're talking about, what's that place called? It's called Mesquite. Mesquite? Yeah, they do. Yeah, I think it's Mesquite. That's a lot. 45 minutes is a long way to drive for a lottery ticket, though. Get a good podcast. Maybe I'll come pick you up and we'll go drive. We'll get some coffee. We'll have a little chit chat. Not Mesquite. Interesting. Okay, the solar edge says waiting. The solar age says waiting for God to judge the dense energies, but it's us who need to request judgment happen. I'm so interested. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. Hi, Jay Michelle. How are you, babe? How's your day going? All right. So let's kind of get back to that. So let me know, especially with everything going on right now, we're in retrograde, which we're going to talk about later with many. And we just had the Cancer new moon. Mercury is retrograde in Cancer, and then we're in the portal between 7-7 and 8-8. So it's like there's so much energy coming through and onto the planet right now. There's so many things shifting. And so just taking really good care of yourself, making sure that you are drinking your water, eating healthy foods, listening to your body. Another thing that we were talking about in the beginning of this segment is sometimes we get into these cycles where we're kind of trapped into these behaviors and these patterns when it comes to like the adrenaline that we need. So we're creating chaos in our lives because our body is literally addicted to the adrenaline or the neurochemicals that are pumping. And so we create these situations to get more of that into our system. Sometimes we lose connection with what our body needs because of addiction to like sugar or caffeine or different kinds of foods, or and so what that does is it kind of creates a disconnect between what our body actually needs and what we put into our body. And this is something that I'm just being led to talk about right now when it comes to like the food that we consume, and really allowing ourselves to take a step back and look at like, what do I need to be eating right now? What feels good to me? What feels good to my body? What's fueling my body? Because so many people are activating right now and in a period, and like we ascend and then, we plateau a little bit, and then we ascend, or whatever you want to call it, expand, and then you plateau a little bit. And so I'm just hearing that a lot of people on the planet right now are in a period where they're shifting into more expansion right now for the next couple of weeks. It's going to be pretty intense. And so giving yourself what you need, not just the habit. Like for me, I like to snack at nighttime. I love gluten-free pretzels. I love popcorn. I love gummy bears. And I like to sit and watch my podcast or lay in my bed and eat my snacks and like watch my podcast. But it's like, is that the best thing for me to do, or is it just habit, right? And of course, it's like there are things that we like that are creature comforts, but especially during these times when we're rapidly expanding, it's really good to be conscious about if we need to adjust what we're putting into our bodies. I have, and I think most of you guys know this. Hi, Be Free Flies. I think you guys know this, but I had a really intense timeline shift that changed the way that I was eating when it came to like, I don't eat meat anymore, which is crazy because have always been somebody who eats meat every single day. And there have been times over the last couple of weeks where I've been like, well, maybe I'll try to eat meat. And I've gotten this real clear resonance of like, girl, don't you dare, don't eat the meat. Don't do it. Like, absolutely not. And it's not something that I chose for myself. So, and it almost makes me physically sick to think about eating it. So it's not something that I'm like consciously doing. It's not like, oh, I'm so strong, I stopped eating meat. Like, no, I really can't eat it. But that's just one example of like the body and the soul being like, this is something. And that was something that I've been thinking about doing for a very long time. Like years, I've been knowing that I needed to stop eating meat. And so it's like, I got to this point where I shifted timelines or had an expansion event. And it was like, I can no longer bring that with me. At the same time, as Jay Michelle knows, that also has a lot to do with the energy that I was carrying in my sacral and my root. When you think about like where your stomach is, where your gut is, and the energy that's been trying to break apart there and heal there. And so there was like a correlation between like the food that I was eating with the meat and that stagnancy that was physically in my gut area, and like the energy was not moving, if that makes sense. And so what Spirit is just wanting me to come through and say is that we have to understand that what we're putting into our body fuels our spiritual evolution as well, because it all breaks down to energy. And so if you've been feeling a call of like, okay, let me drink a ton more water, let me stop drinking coffee, whatever, then do what you can to kind of shift into that right now. Because we are going to be experiencing over the next couple of weeks a big ascension event. Okay. Let me know how this resonates with you. That was kind of out of left field, but let me know how that resonates with you. And if you guys are having any relationship when it comes to like the food that you're eating, the drinks that the things that you're drinking or consuming in any way. And Solar Rays, I didn't even think about you and what your journey is right now, right? So yeah, not mesquite. Okay. J. Michelle, peace, peace, peace. Pacific tree frog, mesquite is in Nevada. Beaver Dam. Okay. The Solar 8 says, I only have limited words to write in the comments. It's a long explanation. Sorry. Do you want to jump on and explain it? Pacific Tree, I think, oh no, I can't have you. Just kidding, because I'm multi-streaming and it's a whole thing. Pacific Tree Frog, the Solar Age limited word is so challenging. It is. Be Free Flies, oh my OMG, just tapped in and been feeling the need to do a cleanse. Now I have to do it. Now I have to do it. And like, it's so funny too, because I don't think that even came through until like you specifically jumped on, because that was just out of left field. We were not talking about that. I was like, spirits coming through. The Solar Age says certain foods work with or against our bodies based on our blood type. It's not talked about enough. This as well, eating right for your blood type. And I mean, there's just a lot of things, because when you think about the industrial food complex and why it is the way that it is, so like so many other complexes here in the United States and in the world, it's not really built for our health and wellness. It's built for profit. And so that's why they don't talk about it, right? Because they want to sell what they want to sell, regardless of if it's actually healthy for our bodies or not. They want to sell what they can make the biggest profit on. And not to get all conspiratorial, but you know, that's how it is. The Solar Age, girl, I slipped. I went to the dispensary yesterday. You know, that happens. It really does. I had a difficult conversation with a relative yesterday and I needed to cool down. Only lasted one day. I mean, the thing is too, it's like one day is one day. And that's great. Like sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves around when we want to do something like that. And as long as you continue to move forward in the way that your soul is driving you, as long as you keep trying, like that's the lesson in and of itself. And that's the thing, right? Like I said, it was like when it came to me when I stopped eating meat, it's something I have been thinking about for literally years. And it came to a point where it just happened for me. And you know what I mean? It just happened. I just found myself doing it. Like, okay, cool. And that happens a lot sometimes. Like you'll have a goal for yourself that maybe you're trying to get to, but things seem hard. And then you focus somewhere else and then it comes on for you. And then you start doing that thing. And it's like, okay, here we go. And then it ends. And then also, who's to say how long it was for you that you were supposed to do it, you know? So just give yourself so much grace for sure. And just know that it will definitely, you know, if you're going to jump back on and like, you know, stop again, just give yourself grace. And every single day, every single hour, please count that as a victory and count that as something of an achievement, because it is, you know. Okay, Be Free Flies. She says, thank you for the message, Amy. Heading to brunch, but apparently needed that word. Tomorrow I will start. Have a great day, y'all. Bye, Be Free Flies. Have a great brunch. Have a great brunch. The Solar Ray says, but every time I go to the dispensary, I always receive synchronicities. So interesting. Love that. And I'll buy something and it'll cost $11.11. You're like, yes, I'm supposed to be here, right? And this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the live too. It's like we have these ideas of what we're supposed to do, who we're supposed to be, and what our experience is supposed to be when it comes to our goals and like what it's supposed to look like. But really, we don't have that great of an idea, you know, like because we can really only conceive of what our mind will allow. And so sometimes, especially when we're setting goals, because setting goals is a largely mental thing. So it's like when we're setting these things and it's supposed to look like this and this is how it's going to turn out, we're just bullshit. Like we're just making shit up. Like we have no idea how it's actually going to manifest or what it's going to look like. So oh my goodness. Okay. All right, guys. So for anybody, hello everybody over on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm live streaming today on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube per the usual. Hello, everybody on YouTube. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. My name is Amy Titus. I'm an intuitive and psychic development coach. And we're talking about coming home to yourself today. We're talking about multidimensionality, and we're talking about the different ways that we can allow upgrades in our lives, upgrades in our energetic offering, and really staying true to ourselves while we're navigating life as it's coming to us from all angles, right? Let's talk about, let's see. Oh, and then let's see. In about 40 minutes, I'm going to be having a guest on named Minnie Driver, and we're going to be talking about the fascinating topic of soul retrieval, which is so interesting, and I love talking about it, and I'm super excited because she's a very intelligent, very bright woman, and like her spirit is very bright, and I'm excited to get her experiences, feedback on what that is exactly, and how it's affected her life and what her experience with that is. Okay. Let me know in the chat also if there's anything that you guys want to talk about. I wanted to come on Sunday during the daytime because it's such a different vibe. Number one, I have my coffee, and so I'm extra energized by that. And I wanted to change it up because usually on Sundays when I'm getting on, I'm already really tired. Usually anytime in the evening, because I'm a projector. Also, I have, a lot of things going on. And I'm not the most energetic person in the world. And I'm fine with that. Like, I love that about myself. Like, for real, people that always just seem to have like all the energy and they're running around and they're doing this and they're doing that. And I'm never like that. My mom is like that. And so it's always been really interesting for me to watch my mom as she navigates life, even now as like, at her a little bit older age, but she's just running around doing all these things. Like, and I've always watched her and just been like, wow, this is how it's supposed to be, especially as like a teen and a young adult. And I always kind of matched myself up against her ability to run around and do so much. And when I realized who I am energetically, because I was introduced to human design and I understood that like I'm a projector, we don't have as much access to sacral energy, which all of that made so much sense for me. But when I realized that, I was like, oh, maybe there's something wrong with me when it comes to my like lack of energy, or maybe I don't have as much energy as these other people out here. But how do I use that? How do I lean into that? And it's like a lifelong journey. I've known about that, the fact that I'm a projector for about 6 years, but it really is a lifelong deconditioning around how I'm supposed to show up, what I'm supposed to do, what my expectations of myself and my experience should be. And when I just need to be like, okay, I don't have the energy for that, or I may not have the energy for that. So let me switch things around. So when it comes to me coming on lives in the evening after like a full day, I just noticed that I was really tired. And I was like, okay, well, let me just push through because I want to show up and I want to connect and have community and all that. So then a little voice came in my head that was like, what if you just do them in the morning? And I was like, oh, wow, inspired. Like, oh, maybe I should. And so that's what I'm going to be doing from now on when I have more energy, right after I have my coffee, honey. And it's just a little bit of a shift, but it's really going to affect, the way that I show up and the energy that I have around it. One of the things that I was learning about when it comes to the Queen Po yesterday is like our intention and what our intentions are and where our intentions are coming from. And it's a topic that I never really thought about before, but she describes it as being like your intentions as you're navigating life, as you're navigating things that are coming at you and situations. Every choice you make, every decision you make is coming from an intention. And then you have to choose or decide where that intention is coming from. Like if you're going to get up and go get some water from the kitchen, it's like, okay, your intention is to go get a glass of water. Why? Because you're thirsty. Like, what's your intention to not be thirsty anymore, to soothe your thirst, right? To quench your thirst. So it's an interesting concept because your intentions can come from your head, they can come from your heart, or they can come from your soul. And this is like Queen Po's teaching, okay? And from your head, it's logically like, how is this going to work out for me? How is this going to work out in general, right? So it's like if my intention is to do something so that I get a result from something and that the result is what I want, that intention is coming from my head. So it's like if, and that's not always bad, right? Like if I want to go get my car washed because it's dirty, that intention isn't coming from my heart. necessarily. It could be. It's not necessarily coming from my soul. It's coming from my head. There's another one that is if your intention is coming from your heart. And that's generally around like how something makes you feel. Like if it makes you feel better, like maybe you want to spend time with someone because of the way that interacting with them makes you feel, or maybe you want to eat that late night snack because of how it makes you feel, not necessarily because you're hungry, but just because of how it brings you comfort, right? And that's not necessarily bad either, right? There's lots and times of places for that kind of intention. But she talks about the fact that our intention almost always, especially when it's important, should be coming from our soul, a soul-led intention. And the soul-led intention is different because it's all about the benefit of not only you, where your mental-led intention, your mind-led intention, and your heart-led intention are generally about you and what you want, what you need, what you expect, all of that. But when it's coming from a soul-led intention, it's more about the collective community, what's best for the earth, what's best for the universe, what's best for the field. And so we should be living a life that is in alignment with soul-led intentions. And when I was learning about this, I was like, I have never thought about this in this way before. I'm like, wow, like my wig is really like split on this. Like I was thinking about what that meant to me around like the soul-led intention. And so I just started getting quiet. I just got quiet like right in the moment. And I was like leaning into the reasons why I do things, like the reasons why I get on lives. And is it because, I want to reach more people? Is it because I want to be heard? Is it because I want to connect? And so I tuned into the energy of like why I get on live. And what her whole premise of it was like, make sure that as much as you can, make sure that your intentions are soul led. So it's like, before you do anything, check in with what your intentions are and where that's coming from. And if it's coming from the heart or the head, you know that it could be coming from the soul. Just shift your intentions a little bit. And we can shift our intentions really easily. So say that I was coming on live. This is not me, but this is not a real example, but say that I was coming on live just because like I wanted to be seen. I just wanted to talk and I just wanted to be seen, or I had a new outfit and I wanted somebody to see it. So like that's coming from the heart, right? So like, how could I shift into like a soul-led intention of like why I'm getting on live? Like, okay, I'm getting on live now because I want to connect with someone, because I want to speak with someone, I want to build community, I want to have a kiki and a giggle. Like switching and moving in the moment, we can do that. But the key is the awareness of where that intention started, right? It's like, if I know I'm going to have a conversation with my husband about something and it might get, it might be a little contentious, or it might, be triggering. Like, why is it that I want to have that conversation? Is because I feel like I need to get something up off my chest and I need to like tell him what it is? Or is it because I want to make our entire family better, stronger, and more connected? And so it's like, even in the moment when I check in and I'm like, oh, it's just because I really want to like tell him how I feel. Even if I can in the moment switch my intention to wanting to make our family unit stronger before I go into it, and really align with that, right? And it's just that quick shift, that reframe, that refocus that can shift an entire experience. It can shift an entire outcome. Let me know what your guys' experiences when it comes to this intentionality. And if you guys have ever heard about this, as in your intention coming from your head, your heart, or your soul. And if you guys live like that generally, I'm so impressed. Like, I was completely blown away. I'm like, really? Never thought about that. There's a level of like presence and intentionality behind that I just had not stepped into, or at least I haven't in a long time, for real. Cause I'm like, oh, because, I meditate, I spend a lot of time with spirit, but I never really applied the fact that I could like really be in the present moment so much that as I'm making each decision, check in and say, where is this coming from? Okay, let's get back into the chats. The Solar Age says, well, am I supposed to take a break or not? It's conflicting. Okay, a Pacific Tree Frog says, getting things that cost 11.11 when you're contemplating something, a clear message. Pacific Tree Frog says, I don't know, I just roll with it. Pun unintended, but when I realized, LOL. The Solar Age says, yes, notice your energy, then create a solution. Yeah. The Solar Age, listening to my soul-led intention is blocked due to the programming around what's good and bad. This is like very, very true. And that's what I was finding as I was trying to tune in, because I was like, all right, let's do my business. Like, what is my intention behind my coaching business? And as I was just tuning in and like getting, like, I had to create a space for the information to really like land and settle in. And usually when that happens, that lets me know that there's a little bit of a blockage, like there's a little bit of a dense layer that like needs to come through, because there is so much emotion and mental energy around my business. So it's like makes it harder for me to see through to like the pure intention. Obviously, I want to connect with people. I want to share. I want to help people in their lives. Like that's always the thing. But when I was trying to tune into like, okay, why, like what is the intention, and just making sure that it's soul led, because sometimes you can think things are soul led, but then when you dig a little bit deeper, they're really not, right? So, or your soul, because it's not like soul led as in collective, like high vibrational energy led. It's like your soul, and your soul is very specific to you and unique. Like some people like to jump out of a plane, like Pacific Tree Frog, like that might have been a soul led activity for her. You know what I mean? Some people like to paint. Some, like there's just so many expressions, and so it's not just about being like, oh, high vibe. It's about like specifically, what is your soul trying to do here? And when we think about our businesses or our creative endeavors or our expression, it's like our soul really has a very specific thing that it wants to do, or many, many, many things that it wants to do. But it's like, is this expression in alignment with that? And so spending more time with soul, your own soul energy. And obviously it's always there with you, but it's like the Solar Age said, like there's a lot of programming around what it is, around what's good, what's bad, what you're supposed to want, what you're not supposed to want. And so like getting into allowing that to clear and be deconditioned from that is definitely a journey. The Solar 8 said, even if you jumped on the live to show off a cute outfit, I'd still join and give you a compliment. Thank you, girl. Thank you. So funny. But yeah, so I thought that was really interesting around the intentions and just like allowing ourselves to be more aware and focusing in on that. New Vista, hi, New Vista. Thank you for joining a Sunday school lesson. Hey, so glad you're here. Thank you, Pacific Tree Frog, for the like. Thank you, New Vista, for the like. Okay, what else do you guys want to talk about today? Today's really about hanging out. We're going to have a beautiful guest, Minnie, in about 30 minutes. I might see if she's ready to come on now, because I'm just chilling, honestly. And this is my favorite kind of discussion. Sundays are always so sacred for us as well. And I'm interested if they are for you guys. Like, what are your normal Sunday routines during the daytime? How do you pour into yourself? What do you do? And then another question I'll ask that question first. Do you guys have like rituals on Sunday that you like to do, or things that you like to do to pour into yourselves? Over on YouTube, hi ZenBliss1111. How are you? Thank you for joining, and thank you for the comment, the chat. For me, soul and heart are the same. Aligning with heart for me is soul. The other intention is coming from mind, ego. That's the difference for me. Love that. Yeah, and when I was listening to Queen Poe, I was like, oh, like the heart. But I think she meant more like the egoic heart. Like, what do I want? What makes me feel good? As opposed to like your soul essence. But I have always kind of associated the heart, the true heart, like the quantum portal heart, as soul as well. So I think she was talking about more of like a surface level heart. But yeah, I agree with you for sure. Because when I think about the heart as in like the things that I want to soothe me or the things that make me feel good, that feels very egoic, Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your comment in your chat. Love that. Love that. New Vista says, I'm intentional about listening to what I need and just flow. It's definitely a time I set for the week. Love that. I know I've been wanting to incorporate more things on Sunday when it comes to family time and also me time, like self-care stuff. But it's just hard. We be busy. Like we be busy. Solar 8 said, every Sunday I clean the whole apartment. So can't have company on Saturdays. This is so funny. This is so synchronistic because my mom is Southern, right? And so we don't, and let me know if this is y'all's experience, because I really want to hear this. I was thinking about this as I was cleaning yesterday. So we had guests over yesterday afternoon, and it was a play day, a good friend who lives here, and she has 2 little boys, adorable. Synchronicity, her son's name is Franklin. My brother's name is Frank, and they have the same birthday. Crazy. Anyway, so I was like cleaning up and like deep cleaning. I'm mopping, I'm cleaning the walls, I'm cleaning the bathrooms, like deep cleaning. And my mom is from the South. And so this is just something she has always instilled in me. Like when you have guests over, you have to deep clean. Like you have to clean. And this is like a really good friend that I have. Like we're pretty close. She probably comes over to my house more than most people. But I'm just like, you can't have people come into your house if it's not clean. And it was never from a perspective from me of like, you know, trying to look a certain way. It's always out of like a level of deep respect of like, you are taking time out of your day to come over to my house and spend time with me and bless me and my family. So like, I never want you to come in and be uncomfortable because it's dirty. You know what I mean? Like, but I realized, so a lot of times, this is like calling my own stuff out. I probably shouldn't say this, but sometimes I'm like, I don't clean that much unless I have guests over. So I'm like, okay, I need to have guest overs about like once every 2 weeks. So I know I can get this good cleaning, like clean this stuff up, get it together. But my husband always jokes, he's like, we never clean unless we have guests over. And then that day, right before they come over, we're like in a full sprayed everything down, disinfected, like I got the Florida water in my mop bucket. I'm just like, oh, but then everybody comes over, they're like, oh, your house is so nice and fresh. It's so clean here. I'm like, yep, all the time. Oh my gosh. Let me know how that, okay. So let me know if this is how that, if that was a thing for your family as well. Like you had to clean before people came over, what the extent was it? Like, obviously you got to clean the bathrooms, like complete deep clean. Cause I know like, that's always my fear too. Having somebody come over to my house and then the bathroom not be clean and then they have to use the bathroom, like, go me now. Just take me out of here. Like, not okay. Okay. You're so funny. Okay, Pacific Tree Frogs. Sundays were always my favorite day of the week growing up in Salt Lake City. All the Mormons were at church and all the parks were empty or less crowded. I love being meditating and sitting in nature. This is so real, you guys, because here where we live in St. George, it's predominantly Mormon. And so on Sundays, everywhere is completely empty. Now, some places just aren't open, like different restaurants and like activity centers, things like that. But everywhere else, like on Saturdays, it's absolutely jam-packed. But if you need to go to Costco, you need to go on a Sunday because everybody's at church. Like, it's such an edge. It was so culturally different when I moved here. I'm like, wow, because usually like where I'm from on Sunday, like everybody's out, everybody's not about. Some people are at church, but like for the most part, people are doing their shopping, they're at restaurants, all that. New Vista says, yep, baseboards and all. Look, I was get the baseboards sprayed, dusted, sprayed down, and mopped up and just wiped off. Pacific Tree Frog says, okay, New Vista says, I never realized that's what it was, but that makes sense. I was just annoyed cleaning as a kid. The story says, ain't nobody about to be talking about the dust on my blinds. Nobody's going to leave here and be like, ugh, they need to clean. They need to clean. So funny. But again, it's like, okay, so that I kind of set that up. So my sister's coming next week and I'm like, okay, well, so we did the baseboards for this week. If she's coming on Friday, we're still good. You know what I mean? I don't have to do it again. Amazing. Pacific Tree Frog said, like right now, I like just staying home where it's cool, but come fall and winter, I might go out again. Exactly. Yep. New Vista. Oh, wow. The synchronicities and hearing about Mormon like Latter-day Saints and you from Indy. Yeah. New Vista. I'm gonna message you later. That's wild. Is it synchronistic because where you live, there are Latter-day Saints, LDS? Mini driver, girl, saying about the cleaning. I'm here, happy to hop on. Yay. Okay, let me get set up. And I'm so excited, guys. We're about to have Mini Driver join us. And I'm just so excited. All right, let me get her in here. Oh, there she is. Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can everybody hear her? I gotta turn up my volume. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm great.
How has your weekend been? What have you been up to?
It's been a roller coaster. Not a whole lot, but like I want to chime in on what you're talking about, the cleaning, because I loved what you said about your mom's kind of approach to honoring the guests, because I've really struggled with how to present this to my kids, because I'm the same way as you are. Like, if we're going to have guests over, we're like frantically cleaning.
So stressful.
I don't want it to feel like that we're cleaning only for guests.
Sure.
But I also want them to understand that I want guests to feel super comfortable in our home too.
Yes.
So like, and that's how I phrase it. But I really like what you said about your mom saying that, this is, they're honoring you with your presence, with their presence in your home. And so that's, everything you can do to make them feel comfortable. And so, yeah that's like, I was like, oh, I can't text that. Like, it's
so funny too, because again, like Nuvista said, growing up, you're like, but then it's like you understand, like, okay, this is really why. And then also it's just you have more life experience where you're like, what it's like to go to somebody's house and you're in the bathroom and you're like, it's like, I don't want nobody feeling that way about me and my family. Over on YouTube, Zen Bliss 1111 said, "That's my sister." Is that your sister, Minnie?
That's my sister. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I've mentioned in our group, right?
Yes.
Like, that's her. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. So nice to meet you. I love, love, love that. Okay. So for everybody who is joining us, this is Minnie Driver. And that's her handle. And if she wants to share her real name, she can. But she agreed to come on with me to talk about some fun things around multidimensionality and around specifically the concept of soul retrieval, which is so deep and so rich. I'm so excited to get her perspective on this. So Minnie, when you think about the concept of soul retrieval, how has it affected your life? And I would love to hear your definition of what it is and how that experience has been for you and the journey that you have been on. Let's just dive right in. The meat, meat and potatoes.
I never really framed it as soul retrieval, like, until we've really had this conversation. It's not been top of mind in that way, but for me, it was inner child work. Mm-hmm. And so those are kind of like, to me, they're one and the same, because we'll call it the awakening, happened. There was pre-work for me personally. There was pre-work to getting to that place of really seeing everything, the universe as is. Yeah. And one of the stepping stones to that was healing the self, and all the aspects of the self. And I wouldn't say I'm 100% healed. It was coming to an awareness of that. There were aspects of myself that I abandoned along my journey for, rejecting those aspects of my childhood, rejecting those versions of myself, and that those parts of me needed to be acknowledged, needed to be held, to be connected with, needed to be loved. And in doing that work, it brought me to the place of understanding, oh, that's what a soul is. That's what we are. Oh, this is, so it was a stepping stone for me to get to this place. Yeah. So I had a very beautiful experience out on our nature trails where I live, where I was walking, doing kind of self-therapy, do like the EMDR protocol, where, you're doing bilateral movements. Yeah. And I'm walking out in nature. I'm kind of focused on certain mental tracks that I really want to install in my thinking as I was doing that. And I came upon this rock. And this rock was split down the middle. And it was like this beautiful rock. And I mean, Spirit was like, stop. It was before I really knew what all of I didn't know labels for anything at that point. I had diverged my spiritual understanding, but things were just downloading constantly at that point. And so I came to this rock, and I just got this very strong sense that I needed to stop and look at this rock. And it was just beautiful because it was metaphorical. It was this split, and it was the attention that I got was, this is you. You were split and you are coming whole again. And it was, I took a picture of it. It was just one of those moments that stands out in your journey that says, there were pieces of you that you are collecting together to be whole again.
Yeah. That's really beautiful. And I love that it came to you in that moment of like this beautiful message that like explained what you had been doing, even though you probably already knew, but like you said, maybe not the language of what it was. And then it's like, oh, that is it. So when you think about some of the biggest pieces that you had to pull back to you, that you had to reclaim, what are some that come to mind?
So it's different aspects of my childhood, my adolescence, and my adulthood. Basically, for me, I can kind of map everything to either a traumatic or a major event in my life. Where, there might be a moment of shame or embarrassment attached to it, right? There's, I go back to a childhood story, an adolescent story that was kind of pivotal for me, where I was in the 8th grade. I had a teacher who was not a good teacher, and I was trying to elevate my education because I came from poverty. I came from like disadvantaged. I'm very neurodivergent, which I didn't know at the time.
Right. Yeah.
To use that label, right? Multidimensional. We'll just
yes. Right. I want to talk about that later too.
But we didn't have those labels. We had ADD when I was growing up, and that was little boys, and attention, like it looked very different for girls. And I had an adult who was very discouraging in my life, and
that's so rough.
Kind of broke off like a piece of me at that point. Was an adult didn't have faith in me to like move beyond where I was in my educational journey. And it kind of springboarded me, and it motivated me to do some things, but there was a part of me that broke off. It's like, why didn't you care for me? Why didn't you support me? Why didn't you love me? And that's just like one sliver of the slices that we have along the way of, events that shape our thinking and the loop and, the stuff that our mind gives us and feeds us. So that one really stuck with me because it was one of the pieces where I had to learn how forgiveness. Like I had to learn how to forgive this teacher and her lack of faith in me. Like I've had to write her a letter in the morning pages that I did for the artist way. Like this woman plagued my mind because it really was a blocker for me in terms of being able, like she was going to hold me back in terms of the grade, where I wanted to go. She ended up going on a medical leave, and during the time that she was gone, my grades shot up. The substitute teacher that came in was like, no, this is a teaching problem. This isn't a student problem. Right. So I had to, my mom and I had to advocate for me. Like, so anyways, the point is that stands out as a very pivotal point in my trauma journey. And as I did EMDR therapy and as I walked through nature and kind of piecemealing like all the different aspects of myself that had experienced the different rejections, the different self-doubts, where in my path did self-criticism really crop up in my journey? And those were the pieces that I had to sit with. And then fast forward to joining a women's group that was more spiritual, like kind of, in the last handful of years, we did a meditation exercise with inner child work. And I got to sit with that version of myself and talk to that version of myself and love that version. And so that was kind of the very beginning of me starting to really understand the pieces of self and how you can really interact with her and understand that. So it's been a journey, like little pieces, breadcrumb trails that have brought me to.
And I love that you said that, what you mentioned too, because it really is. And I can't wait I want to make sure that we talk about neurodivergence. But when you have a memory of something that sticks with you, or that memory creates a physical, visceral response in your body of like shame, guilt, embarrassment, pain, anger, whatever that is, like that's a clue. That is an absolute clue that this is something that needs to be looked at, resolved, healed, shed light on. And it's a great, yeah, it's just a clue that this is a part of some soul that needs to be gathered back up. And for me, I have to have so many of them. Like I will just be like shopping and then I'll have a memory of like, oh God, like embarrassment, guilt, shame. Like, and
Shopping
it's like,
is a big trigger for me.
yes. And so bringing that aspect of yourself in a meditative stance, or even in the moment, because I do that a lot now where I just bring her right into wherever I am in the grocery store. And I just kind of bring her up to speed with what's going on in my life now to alleviate the fear that what she did was going to be a catastrophe for my life. Because I feel like that's where a lot of the shame comes from. It's like I did this thing that's irrevocable, and now for the rest of my life, I'm going to suffer. And so I kind of bring her in. I'm like, nope, even though you made out with that boy and got caught, your life's fine, girl. You married, honey. You fine. Like you have a family. It did not matter. So, yeah, I love that. Okay, so when I think about soul retrieval as well, it's like, you know, there's past life soul retrieval that can happen as well, and then there's present soul retrieval that can happen as well. And a lot of times the people that we lost, that we misplaced a little bit of our soul with, are still in our lives. And sometimes that piece of us can be attached to the different people in our lives, right? So have you ever had the experience where like either a family member or a partner, a child, where you had a situation with them and interacting with them kind of triggers the loss of that? And how have you dealt with that? Did I explain that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I'm trying to, I think what comes to mind is the aspects that I see of myself and other people.
Yeah.
And the aspects of myself, of my passed on relatives that I see in other people.
Okay.
And those mirrors like shining back to me really bring home the concept of soul retrieval, if that makes sense. Of how soul is in everything and aspects of us are everywhere. And that concept of understanding the all is where I more or less feel that is reflected in my life. I, run across people that, well, I mean, just aspects of my younger versions of me in my own children, right? Younger versions of me or different versions of me in other people. Like that's how I found you, right? Like you were on live TikTok, and I was like, there's certain things that get said that I'm like, oh, that's very much, that resonates. And that resonance to me is the connection that I have to another soul.
Yeah.
And and since we're all we're one soul, basically, divvied up into unique experiences, then that's how I view it as, oh, this is a part of me that is a reflection of me that I need to spend time with, because for whatever reason I attracted that to me at this point in my life.
Yeah.
So I want to understand them, and what is it that I need to look at in the mirror.
Yeah. It's like the poison is the medicine. And so it's like when you hear that whole concept. And so for me, when I'm dealing with someone who I'm in a relationship with, long-term relationship with, whether it be family members, friend, whatever, and I know it's almost like sometimes you lose an aspect of yourself, but then it takes a while for you to realize that you lost that aspect of yourself. And then you have to go through this journey of who I was versus who I am now. And then stepping into that empowerment of, because you know how in relationships, we all have roles, right? So it's like, say that the relationship I have with my mom, I have a very specific role, but in acting out that role, I'm actually feeding the loss of soul, like feeding that part of me that is not in alignment with my highest self. So it's like, once I understand that and see that, then it's time for me to do the work to recalibrate that aspect of my soul to me and be empowered and, act in a different way or show up in a different way. And I guess my question well, I'll just keep going with my story. So it's like that's something that I've really had to work on, because who I expected to be in the context of a relationship that I've had with somebody who I'm no longer that person. And do I have the courage to reclaim myself and be who I am now without falling back into those old patterns? And that was something that I had to work through when I went no contact with my family for a little while, because it's like I keep wanting to show up as this older version of me, but that's unhealthy for me, right? And so through that, I think that was a great way for me to retrieve that aspect of me, like that good girl. I need to be the good girl. I need to be the get along girl. I need to just be quiet, not say anything, always agree with whatever they're saying, just like, and so that was a big, yeah. And so that was like a big thing for me. And that relationship aspect.
So for you, I want to echo this back, because it's definitely a different way to look at it than I think I've looked at it. And so when you are facing somebody that you are basically unmasking around, the new version of you is showing up and you are unmasking.
Yeah.
It is acknowledging that aspect of you that was in relationship with the other person is a very different individual, and not casting shame on her for having been with them in the way that they are. And then basically saying, holding her hand, and this is how we're going to interact from here forward. This is us now. And this is how that relationship really needs to look. So we understand, and that was kind of for me the self-healing journey that I had to go through with myself was, you made choices at the time based on your circumstances, based on, unhealed trauma, based on all of these things. So I had to learn how to show forgiveness to myself. Right. And then also gently lift her and bring her into now that says, this is, because that, for me, what it is that person doesn't stop talking. Like they chime in, like, and I prefer a lot lot of technology analogies, because I really do view myself through a lens. It just works, computes for my IT brain. The programs that were installed during that version of my life are still oftentimes, we switched over to that channel and we listened to that program and hear it. And so, I have to say, I'm not there anymore. This is how we're moving forward.
Yeah. Another aspect of soul retrieval, it's like when we're going through different traumatic events and we have to mask in order to, or switch personas, and we feel like we have to in order to get through, or whatever it is, and we're leaving aspects of ourselves throughout time. And so, what was I going to say with that? Oh, another aspect of it is like when that happens, we become, as it happens over time, more and more, and we're not doing the work to like pull back, to magnetize those aspects back to us and like heal. We become less and less in alignment. The we that we are becomes less in alignment with who we actually are, with our divine purpose, with our soul, because we are, without those aspects of us, we're just less in alignment with our truth and who we are. And so then we look around and we're like, oh, and a lot of times, and this is why doing this shadow work is so important, this healing work is so important, because the more out of alignment we are with our divine purpose, our divine gifts, God's energy, whatever you want to call it, the less momentum we have, the less magnetism we have, the more resistance we have. And it's almost like aspects of us are pulling away from each other because it doesn't have that magnetic pull, that magnetic center. And so a lot of times when I notice that things are not flowing in the way that I would like, and it's a pattern where it's just really not, because we all have ups and downs and stuff, but I'm interested how that works for you when it's like you see yourself coming up something and you're not able to transcend it, you're not able to push through or heal or really move past the barrier. Do you find that sometimes when you stop and do that shadow work or do that self-healing inner child work, that things start moving again, or you're able to see it from a different perspective? How have you used that work for that purpose?
It's a daily. That's for me. I mean, my sister and I were just on the call last night talking about the patterns that repeat. That because this Mercury retrograde is retrograding right now.
It's hard. Oh, I want to talk about that too.
Yeah. And so, a couple of things. It's one of the reasons why I'm in your community, because I've learned, I've collected a lot of information. But the integration work, I think, is where I am. I won't say stuck, but I definitely feel like I'm in a looping pattern, in a liminal space, in a place where I see myself repeating the same thing over and over. On a monthly, on a weekly, on a on a daily basis, and it's more than a little frustrating.
So real, yeah.
Stand by. My daughter is miming to me, so I'm going to put you on mute and I'm going to adjust her and then I'm going to pause for 2 seconds.
I'll get into some of the comments over here. Okay, New Business says yes, Omaha, Nebraska. They have a bridge and everything. Really knew this stuff. Then everybody's just saying hi, Pacific True Frog. Thank you so much for liking the live. Plentitude Art Market joined over on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who are just joining us, my name is Amy Titus. I'm an intuitive and psychic development coach, and we're here today with Minnie Driver. We're talking about the concept of soul retrieval and just what our experiences have been with that and what it looks like as it relates to healing inner child, healing past wounds. And now we're talking about like how we can integrate that to help us get past and through cycles where we're getting stuck over and over again. And Minnie was just describing that. Go ahead, girl. Okay. Sorry. Everything okay over there?
Oh yeah. She's about to leave. So she's, I'm leaving. So even though I've had an hour and a half to gather all of my things and and mom has prompted multiple times, I'm only just now doing it when my ride is here.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Teenage daughters.
Yes.
Okay. We all do it anyways.
Oh yeah.
I love it. Love you too. Bye.
Oh, it's so sweet.
So one of the tools that I lean back on, we've talked we've jumped into the community, is I found astrology and on, social media, coaches like yourself or, the spiritual community to be very helpful in giving myself new perspectives.
Yes. Yeah. The
new lenses on how to look at the current situation, in addition to the things that come in, right? But I have had to learn how to try, because I'm still not to the place where I can access this discernment of the types of energy that I'm dealing with.
Sure. Yeah.
I know I'm dealing with energy. I can feel the flush. I can feel my body shifting. I know, for me, it feels like nervousness and anxiety.
Okay.
The inside of my body. It's like, I'm very, like I've had too much caffeine when I've had no caffeine.
Yeah.
That totally is when I know that I'm dealing with energies and trying to discern those. And so when I'm looping a pattern, one of the things that I'm trying to understand is like, okay, what has activated that pattern in me? Is it physiological? Is it hormonally because where I'm at in my cycle as a woman? Is it energetically because we're being blasted with solar, flares at the moment? Or what is Gaia doing? What's the doing now? What transits are happening? And what's happening with specifically how are those transits impacting me?
Yes.
And so like my analytical brain is like trying to peel back all the onion layers of like, okay, get to the root cause. What is causing this flare up of this loop, this mental loop that I'm stepping through? Like, what has activated it? So I can, the frustration is getting to the root cause doesn't actually move me forward.
Yeah.
So it's the action items afterwards. And that's where getting a new perspective and listening to how other people walk through and step through theirs is been a big piece of what I've been missing, right? It's like I've been kind of doing everything in my own like echo chamber, and it's like I need other people to help me get out of this loop, and get new ideas.
Yeah, and it's so interesting too because, and this is what we were talking about a little bit early on the live. I don't know if you're here, but it's like, unfortunately, like our minds, because we get sick of it and we want shit to be resolved, like we're like, all right, let's go, let's get through this loop. But but we don't understand, like sometimes we forget the fact that like you may be supposed to be on this loop for like the next 5 years. Like you might, because it's like a spiral, right? Like every time you're just shifting slightly, and who's to say this next time you're going to be out of it? Like you may, or you're able to move to the next. One of my favorite concepts that I ever read about that has stuck with me for like so long is this concept called the ring pass knot. And it's this idea of like the cycle. And it's like there's one specific point of the cycle where you can exit the cycle. And then if you don't hit that, you know what I'm talking about?
I do. We're going to talk about this. Yes.
Because this is a concept that has been on my mind. I've only read it in one book. And I don't even know what book it was. But like, so if you don't hit that exact spot, then like you're there for another cycle. And it just resonated with me so much because I've seen myself do it. And I've seen and had the experience, the visceral experience where it felt like somebody hit me upside the head because I was about to make a decision. And I was like, oh shit, like this is the decision that I have to make. And I have to choose which one in order to like get out of this. And I chose I made the decision that would get me out of the loop, and everything changed in that aspect, in that part of my life. And I was like, oh wow. So it was like the first time that I ever experienced that. But so it's like, we want it to be, okay, this is the last cycle and then I'm done, because as soon as our awareness is on the cycle and the pattern, we're like over it, you know, like we've been on it for 20 years. And then like year 15, we realize what's happening and we're like, okay, done. And Spirit's like, no, girl, you just know about it now. Like, and that's the work, knowing about it and still have it happening to you.
Yeah. The knowing about it and still going through it is really frustrating. Like my career choice was in technology, was to be what's called a problem manager. And the whole purpose of a problem manager is to identify what was wrong and to help the teams action, like get to the root cause of it and then fix it. Yeah. And so literally it's like it really drives me crazy to read these problems. Like it's a next level kind of.
Like,
but
yeah.
Talked a little bit about, I don't remember which session it was that so a few months ago I got a download about my North Node. And a few months ago I was frustrated in the loop, and I was, angry at, continuously repeating the cycle. And I started down the journey of trying to understand the pattern numerically.
Okay.
Because for me, numerically, I can track events in my life to very specific junctions in my numerology and my astrology. And I was like, okay, well, all of this is just sacred geometry. Let's throw this into ChatGPT, or I don't remember if I use Claude or ChatGPT. And let's start with, here's my natal chart. I want to know where the exit point is for the pattern, because it has the ability to do algorithmic like mathematics. Yeah. So like here's data, here's numerical data. Show me on a number line of years and or astrology junctions, like where is my exit for this pattern? And it's March 29th, 2027 for me. Okay. And the energy that I have to embrace is my North Node in Leo. That was the conclusion of this, of a lot of like back and forth and prompting and going through the analysis. But for me, there is a fold that can take place. And then a similar experience happened probably 2017. It was somewhere around 2017. And at that point, I was not an astrology girly. I would occasionally read a horoscope. I read a daily horoscope. I didn't know anything about it, other than why does this resonate? Like, why does this hit? I was curious, but I didn't question it enough to go after an understanding of it. And I hit a horoscope that basically said, if you're at a point in your astrology that the pattern is about to repeat itself for 2 years, or you're about to break a pattern.
Yeah.
And damned if that pattern did not repeat itself. It was crazy. Like, I watched myself basically do a sequence of series of things, and for 2 years.
You're like, again?
Yeah. So that experience really fed into me at realizing and understanding, okay, yes, these loops there are points in which you can exit.
Yes. Yeah.
And break the pattern, and then, diverge, because we're just fractals, right? Like, we're just basically, a repeating pattern, and that pattern expands, but it, or contracts. So
yeah.
That's
so
my 2 cents.
And it is so amazing, because when you think about astrology, the tool of astrology, and how like there are very specific patterns and energies when it comes to like, okay, where are the north nodes at when it comes to like, where are they in the transit? Like, how long until they're there again? How long until Pluto's in this house again? And that, like, so it's like these patterns are showing up in your life at very specific times you can absolutely track. I have a question for you. What house is Leo in for you?
9th house. So my north node is in Leo in the 9th house. So it's literally like, be visible in a spiritual writing leadership capacity.
Yes. Like, that's the thing. I'm like, teacher.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I have a sister, our other sister is a Leo. I have a best friend who's a Leo. And then I just found like an amazing, through TikTok, an amazing like therapist local to me. Ooh. Who is she fit right in on this live, but also is a therapist. And so like,
I love that.
I was like, okay, well, let me try, let me see what this is like. And so she literally has like tattoos of Leo on her arm, because she has like a Leo moon and a Leo like Leo sun and rising or something. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, there's a synchronicity, because the Leos are
converging.
Yeah.
Also, you have very Leo hair to me, like your mane. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I definitely have reached a point where I got in touch with that lioness energy in my journey. In the last year, it came online, and I was like, oh, that's what that is. But I didn't really associate it with, at that point, I wasn't really paying attention to my north node energy. Like, it's been slices. As stuff has come up, I'm learning my astrology as things are shifting, trying to get ahead of it. But it's for me, I almost have to experience it and add that experience to then apply the understanding of what's being explained about the different, aspects, the different conjunctions that can happen when these two, energies are fighting with each other. It creates a new, and so it was overwhelming at first to dive into astrology, because it's like, oh my gosh, there's like 12 houses. There's like how many planets? There's every one of these is, it feels like you're trying to learn
a new language.
It is.
Yes.
So jumping in and just experiencing it, and then, listening to other people who have just really done this for much longer, and really starting to hear the different takes. For me, the archetypes of the, putting it in the frame of literature archetypes, applying the labels from, mythologies to the planets, and that has really helped me understand and start to recognize. Like, I think we talked about Francina Simone and the way she talks about Pluto is like, he's this Dom daddy, like energy. Like,
I can see that.
We're going to do the thing. Like, some of her lives or some of her, calls where she's talked about and given a description of what that energy is like. Oh, now I can recognize it, because it's like, oh, that makes sense to me. Yeah. I
need to follow her. I really do. You said Francina Simone?
Yeah. She's Midnight Scholar Society is her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's get into the comments a little bit. The Solar Age says it's an opportunity window. Oh, I think we were talking about the ring cast thing. Justice says, yes, I appreciate you ladies so much. Some opportunities are only there for a certain time, and it's like a train, get on or get left, like so serious. And Solar Age, I feel like you were talking about that. You guys remember in High Frequency Tea community a couple of months ago, Solar Age, you actually put up some pictures that were of a train station, or you were describing that. So it really is kind of, you were saying that that was a collective energy at that time where it was like, make your choice, get on the train and leave, or get left behind. I don't know if you guys remember that. Sin, hi Sin, thank you for joining us. Brilliant. She says, I have the opposite. My North Node is in Aquarius 12th house. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I would love to hear how that is for you. And then the Solar Age, I can feel the color orange when Minnie talks. That's so interesting. I love that. Lots of sacral energy, beautiful sacral energy, baby. I love that. And so Minnie, when we think about, it's just such a beautiful energy. North Node in Leo is really, and in the 9th house is really a really beautiful, powerful energy. And as we're moving into Leo season, since you've been on your astrology journey, have you noticed a shift in your energy in Leo season? Like a shift pointing you in a direction? Do you feel like this is where a cycle usually starts for you? What is that like for you in general? Yeah. Or is there anything?
I would say the last month, like as we hit Cancer and we're as Cancer season hit, and then into, you know, I was dealing with all the water that came with the Cancer. Like there was a week there where it was just nothing but water in my life. It was inundated, and then it sort of drained, and then there was sort of a lull, and now I'm starting to feel the shift in, and it's, again, it goes back to, I also know that tomorrow is, you know, the infamous Barrow's basket like placements where we've got outer planets that are in within 4-degree configuration. This is like predicted back in, I don't remember now. It's like, it's all over TikTok. But
what's it called? I'm not familiar at all.
Barrow's basket. So we have a configuration that is associated with basically the mass ascension. That's why you're hearing a lot of ascension talk on talk, because astrology wise, we're at an unprecedented time, and a time that was used, that is predicted to.
This is tomorrow?
Yeah, like literally tomorrow, which is also our. That's okay. You're not late. No.
I'm hearing it now. That's all that matters. Okay, what are you saying? It's the same day as the what?
It's spelled like Barbalt. It's Barbo's basket. And the reason why is because the astrology, the way we've got, I'd have to look at the chart again. You've got Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, Jupiter. I'm trying to remember which 4 are in opposition to each other in creating a basket sign, which baskets happen all the time, but they're all at like 4 degrees in the houses that they're in.
I see that because I'm looking at my little the transits. Oh, that is so interesting, girl. I'm gonna have to get up on this. Thank you for telling me.
There's like a famous astrologer who wrote a lot of predictions around this period starting when that configuration happens. And, you know, just like around the age of Aquarius, it all happens, it all kind of is happening this year into next year as we move into the projector. You know, there was predictions around the human design. Like we're in a window where just all stuff is happening this year. Yeah. And, you know, that's why we're seeing so many people come online and so many people going through, you know, for me, I went through a lot of these steps a few years ago. For you, it was probably many more years ago. Like, you know, just different places in our awakening journey, and there's kind of phases to that. And
100%. Oh yeah.
The energy right now is collapsing old frameworks.
Yeah.
Right. Our belief in leadership structures, our belief in hierarchies. We're seeing evidence all around of people are looking at it and like, what the heck? Why are we doing this to each other? Why are we living like this? And people are starting to wake up to the structures around us, and that's literally in the astrology of the planet. You know, so it's
like, It's all happening. And it's like all of this is predictable. And when we think about how long astrology and this the study of the planets in general has been used in the same way, and then, you know, it was demonized or looked at a certain way, looked at as quackery or whatever. It's like that was all systematic. I was getting chills when you were talking. And so I want to ask you this question, but you do not have to answer it because we're on social media. This might be a question for our community. When you think about people waking up to the fact of like, the power structures are not what we were told that they were. The systems are not what they told us we were when it comes to the fairness of them, the rightness of them, like how much power we actually have as people. And you see like the astrology of what's to come when it comes to 2027. Oh, I also have, I have comments from your sister that I want to say. Your sister says, my ascendant is Leo. This happened on Friday. I could feel the timelines wavering and I had a choice. I chose the higher and then fell into the lower. Doesn't that really happen when you're like, okay, I'm going to go this way. And then your pattern just kind of pull you back. You're like, dang it. It's a choice every moment. And then she says 2027 projector year. Let's go. And she's a 2-5 projector. I'm a 5-1 projector sister. So I can, sorry. But so my question for you is when you like what you know about astrology, what you know about human design and the eras and the shifting, what do you think that looks like? What do you think it looks like? What are we moving into when it comes to the power structures that we have?
What I'm picking up on is obviously there is a recognition in the community to hierarchy is not the way to go.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people, you know, collectively we're trying to understand, well, what is the alternative to, you know, it's what I grew up with, which most of us in my generation have, right, is the idea that capitalism is, you know, the opposite of capitalism is socialism, and socialism is bad because Russia bad, right? Like that's the American culture that I grew up, like it's in television, it's in me, it's so insidious the way that it's been brought to us that socialism is bad, you know, communism is bad. But what I'm hearing on social media, people are moving towards like understanding what matriarchy is. And matriarchy is not the opposite of patriarchy. It is not women oppressing men. It's women putting children and community first and leading the way towards a hierarchy. And so I'm seeing a ton of women that are leading the space in AI and trying to build AI with that in mind, like training models as to like move away from a hierarchy model and using a heterarchy system. Yeah. So in the technology space, you see it. In the community and spiritual space, you see a lot of education around what does the matriarchy model look like, and a lot of dispelling of the, you know, mistruths around that. No, it's not women want to just wear the pants in the family and earn all the money. It's that want to run the country. It's that y'all like, we need to take care of all of us. We are the model for how that works. We're literally the physiological model for how to grow life. And that model is also, you know, how we approach life and why we think differently. And so there's a lot of tuning in to that. So what it would look like to me is a rising up of the people who have spent a lot of time in understanding what that model really needs to look like. And I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm seeing everything from people building businesses on completely different anti-capitalistic models to people putting, you know, a lot of education around this, to just simply people getting to that point where they're, you know, where I got to fed up with the leadership and just removing myself from the system. Like unplugging from the matrix. You know, I am not currently working in a corporate job right now, and I haven't been for a year. And I was in corporate for 25 years. Yeah. And so this year of distance from corporate gave me a lot of new perspectives. It woke up a lot of parts of me that were plugged into the productivity culture. And so it's looking like normalizing our multidimensionality or our neurodivergence in the way that we're talking. We no longer look at it through a disability lens. We look at it as this is just how humans are.
Yeah.
And those are
most of us.
In an ideal world, we're seeing, I think I talked about this in one of the calls, the image that I got, somebody was showing a really nice visualization of a sugar cube pyramid in like a pan of water, right? Yeah. And she was explaining, she's like, it's not that we're going to topple the pyramid of hierarchy and patriarchy. It's that what happens is that top comes down and dissolves into the water with everybody else.
Yes.
And so like that visual stuck with me over and over and over again. And I hear echoes of that in the community of people that really understand that we're at a time where we're becoming aware of what we are, who we are, what we've been taught and how we've been taught, and questioning all of it.
Yeah.
And that to me is, that's what it feels like. If anybody's been on social media for the last 4 years, they've seen that conversation, I think, kind of head in that direction. Setting aside the fact that we've all gone through the last year where there's a tremendous amount of curation of content that's happening, where like filtration, like stuff is getting filtered out, but even still, the energy work is so powerful that it still comes on my FYP. I still find Amy's out there. I still find the people, because that energetics is so powerful.
Yeah.
I don't get that out for them.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that too, because it's like, we have to understand that there are not just forces, but like literally there are systems in place that keep this information suppressed or keep you directed somewhere else. And so that's why having community outside of social media, whether that is HFT, whether that's whatever it is, so you can have these real conversations and really plug in, because we forget that we're really only able to see, most of us are really only able to see what's on the HFP, which is completely curated for us. So it's like, this is not a broad view of what is going on. This is just what we're being shown. And so like making sure that we're going to other channels, like when you mentioned, okay, and I know Midnight Society or Midnight Scholar Society. So it's like, okay, let me go to her page and look at everything that she has, right? And then I know that she probably has something else that's like her own community as well. So it's like diving a little bit deeper in where we're getting our information. And when you feel that resonance, like taking that as a sign to go deeper. For me, I don't even know if I can say this. Trying to decide if I want to say it. Okay. I had a shower probably about 6 months ago when everything was going on with the different WARS that we were like in and involved in. And I had this thing come in that was basically like, because of everything that's going on, this is going to set the stage for, in the future, the way that our entire world is governed is going to be changed. And like that hierarchy is going to be like, boop. And it's like, there's not going to be these heads. And it's going to be like, booch, booch, boo. I don't even know what I'm allowed to say.
No, I agree with you. That kind of hit me right when we were going through the election cycle. I got, like a lot of people, it was very, very, it fires you up, right? Like it activates. Yeah. There was a lot of activation energy, a lot of anger, a lot of rage was happening in the collective, and that energy was very impactful. And I was trying to understand how to view, because for me personally, it wasn't about picking a side. For me, I was looking at the broader picture of global of the world and the politics, and I was, there isn't a good or bad side here. It's all, at this point, it's all corrupt, is where I was kind of at in my perspectives. And so for me, very similar to what you just came to, which is we needed something to come in like a wrecking ball. And I won't say that this is a good thing, that what's happening in the world right now, and what's,
it's hard to say that.
Very sensitive, right? Like, but we literally have a wrecking ball that's happening right now with the mission of WARSs, and with this in the US specifically, there is a complete dismantling of what was in place. What we have to collectively believe in our own ability to shape our own reality. And that to me, and I'm hearing that message more in this community. And I hope that we're able to echo that out, because that's really the groundwork for us being able to, okay, the demolition is absolutely happening. It's like everything from natural disasters across the world to, consecutive, like just pounding
geopolitical stuff,
all of these things are very much a dismantling, and we're very much predicted, which to me is wild. Like,
like everybody knew, but nobody, or like people are just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like 20 years we've been talking about this.
It's like, so yeah, for me, it is just focusing, on a regular basis of understanding that, okay, there had to, and it comes back to my core understanding of, we talked about this in the community. It's never good versus evil.
Right.
It is construction versus deconstruction. It's expansion versus contraction. It is a natural cycle of the universe that we see.
Yep.
And I always have to just go within and look at my own body, right? Yeah. There are cells in my body that die every single day, a horrible death in some cases, probably. Right?
That glass of wine just killed
me. I stub my toe, Right. Or there's a bug that I've stepped on in nature. Like, there is life, there is a cycle to life. And unfortunately, we are so very attached to the concepts of good versus evil, and that death is the end, that we attach so much to the forces of destruction. And for me, I find my center when I just come back to remember that, the universe is an example of creation and deconstruction, constant.
Absolutely. Constant. Yep. And it's like, it's just so interesting, because the good versus evil, right versus wrong, all of that, it's something that is so, especially when we think about how our communities and how our the global consciousness is put together, and how we're set apart from each other, we're set in opposition from each other. And so I think to cure that is doing what so many of us are just being called to do, which is like go into deeper community, seek out the people that you want to be in community with, or just open yourself up to like, hey, I'd like to find a community, and then watch how the universe conspires to bring a beautiful community to you, right? And so it's like, because we're going from this larger kind of this global experience, or this like countrywide experience, to like a community, like localized thing, even if it's localized like this, or like your neighbors, the people in your community, like how can you connect? How can you support? How can you get into a heart level so that you're, I don't want to say insulated from the things that are going on, but in a way you can be emotionally insulated, mentally, or not insulated, fortified. I'll use this word, fortified. Like you are supported, and you are supporting the people in that community that you're choosing. And you can figure out solutions, local solutions to the things that are going on. It's like, how can we support each other through this? How can we support the country through this together? How can we together support the world through what's going on? Because I feel like that's what we've been kind of turned away from, you know what I mean? Because when we have such a broad perspective of like community, it actually makes you feel so much more alone than it does when you're really like drilling down into like, these are the people that are around me, like whether it be through the internet and this is my circle or whatever. It makes you feel way more lonely when it's just, the world is my community. like no, we need it on a smaller level.
Yeah. For me, the idea of the models of nature and the models of how our body is organized. If we think about how the body is organized, how cells do have very specific niches, right?
Oh yeah.
And in nature, we have, the honeybee does this, and the apex predators do this and the insects do, like you have so many different communities of things that live harmoniously, and each one of them is very essential to the environment. And it's the same thing within the body. It's everywhere, right? Like there's no place that this model breaks down in truth. Right. Is understanding. And for me, I understood during COVID that connectedness was energetic. It wasn't that I had to be in the physical space with everybody.
Yes,
that
exactly.
I came to an awareness because I joined a company and I had a brand new team and I was managing a new team of people. And somehow we managed to have the same kind of connection, right? Over me staring at a screen and a monitor. And I built a connection with those individuals much more, in some cases, stronger, because we were home and in our own safe spaces to have conversations. And I think that's one of the things that social media has done for us, is allow us to be globally connected to our hive, to our tribe, but also energetically be connected, because we have this, technology at our disposal. So we can find our network of people and still be connected. And it doesn't have to be, when I hear the word community, I think, okay, well, that means that I have to be a part of my, Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I'm physically located. Like, oh, I must need to plug in. But it's like, I had a really hard time finding, initially in this journey, like I felt very alone. Now, slowly, as I put that intention out there, I'm starting to find those individuals. But like online community has been my safe haven, because that's where the like-minded people were that I had access to. So community actualization is something that is being taught and led in the spaces that I am finding the most support in. And that has been the most important message is, yes, it is about connectedness, because that's how we learn. That's how we learn. Like,
yes. And that bridges back to like that matriarchy that we were talking about, this community. That's how we got here. We're talking about like the matriarchy and what that means. And another thing that I want to talk about before we say goodbye is neurodivergence. Okay. So for me, I did not realize that I was neurodivergent until about a year ago, when I was talking to ChatGPT and they said something about like they referred to me as neurodivergent. And I was like, what?
Not them labeling you neurodivergent.
Like, what? And I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, explain this. And it went through this whole list of how I think about things, how I process things, how things triggered me, my like how things when it comes to like sensory stuff. And I'm like, first of all, you've been keeping way too many tabs on me. Second of all, you've been reading me this whole time. And I was just like, oh, and then it even went so far as to say, like, the way that I communicate with you is through the lens of how I would communicate to someone who was neurodivergent. And I was like, and then I just thought about it, because like I wasn't like happy or like sad about it. I was just like, huh. And I just started doing some studying and I was like, yeah, I definitely am. And I never thought about myself that way. And I knew that there were certain ways that I thought about things that were different. I knew that sometimes it was hard for me to communicate to certain peoples, or in certain situations, there are certain things that like my brain really couldn't wrap around. And then I had a very unique way of expressing sometimes. And I really had to work on that in order to make sure that people could understand and follow me, unless I was talking to a very specific kind of person and they just like got it with me. They're probably neurodivergent too. And then it's like, okay, great. Because when I was younger, I was labeled with like, depression, anxiety, and that. So I really didn't have like a label stigma or anything. It was just like this is something that characterizes or explains a little bit more about my experience. And honestly, as I was looking through the people in my family, I'm like, all these fools are neurodivergent, like every single one.
Every one of us.
I'm like, oh, so this is like, and like, not that I'm like looking at people and being like, you're in D and you're in D and you're in D, but it's like, it's like, this is something that I think people are finding more and more, that like some of these things, because obviously there's a spectrum, but it's like, they're finding that there are these pieces of them that were told to them that they are abnormal or that there's something wrong with them. They're like pathologized, but really it's just this specific kind of energy that is not quote unquote mainstream or how they want us to be, even though it is mainstream. It's like, this is not how society wants you to be because it doesn't align with their agenda. It's not as productive. It's not as this as or as that. It's not as easy to manipulate or you know, get out of, you know what I mean? Like profit off of. So they're like, this is bad. You have something wrong with you. So I thought it was special for me in that moment to be like, yeah, I'm neurodivergent. Like I felt good because I had that. But how has it been for you? What has your experience been?
It's been a roller coaster of a journey. Yeah. All of that and right.
Yeah.
Like even the label of divergent that has been, even the label of divergent. Like I think there was a YA adults or YA book series called Divergent. I haven't read it. I feel like there was, and I think it's kind of Hunger Games-esque, right? Like it's very much the idea that we're diverging from what should be normal.
Right.
And so like even that classification, for me, the journey started in it was kind of foundational to my awakening, we'll call it that. It was I got really tired of not understanding why I was in the loops that I was in, why I couldn't make certain things work for me, but it looked like everybody else could.
Yep. Yeah.
It really popped off for me personally when I saw a Pinterest thing that said, stop yelling at your kids, which is, you know, like, I was like, but I was like feeling particularly vulnerable because I must have, you know, at that evening had something that like triggered me.
Yeah.
And at that point I had gone through different phases of adult depression and anxiety, or, you know, that's what it was labeled as. And it just felt like therapy never got me where I needed to be. And I was feeling very guilty. And so I started going down the rabbit hole of self-help. And that just stood out to me. And I ended up on a page that was describing that executive function. And it was describing that somebody with ADHD has this like light switch experience where we go from where, you know, we're told that there's a ramp up. We're told that there's triggers and there's clues that tell you when you're about to hit that breaking point. And I was like, that never happens for me. I go from, hey, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. Shut up! You know, like that's me, you know, like I would be like, it would go, okay, like, let's be good. And that light switch and metaphor analogy was like, boom. And then I went down the rabbit hole. And then I started like seeing myself in, you know, seeing these behaviors. And, you know, I went way deep into understanding, you know, at that point it was the neuroscience around it. At that point it was understanding as much as I could about the behavioral changes that, you know, and how it looks very different for women versus men. And I was like, oh my gosh, for me, age 42, I came to understand that, oh, I am neurodivergent. Yeah. Oh, I've been dealing with this my entire life and it explains. And then now fast forward to where I'm at now, I see it through a different lens. You know, I see it through the lens of, you know, there's a piece in the community that talks about superpowers. Like that was kind of there in the early understandings of, you know, you see pattern, you recognize patterns, you connect with humans better. Like you know, it was honing in on the strengths. And I was in corporate. I joined a like, what do you call it in the corporate world? A support group. It's not a support group. They don't have them anymore, because for the most part, the different DEI type groups that can be employed. Yeah. And so they
don't have them anymore.
I know, like I've been out of it for years. So that thankfully the jargon is like, I'm getting rid of the jargon that has been you know, like I'm so tired of corporate speak. But I was in a group with employees that,
Yeah.
I was leading a group of employees talking about our experience in the workplace, because in the workplace, it is viewed as disability. There's a lot of stigmas and fear around disclosures of talking about. And
Mm.
for me, I didn't feel comfortable having that conversation with my boss at the time,
Yeah.
because of all the stigmas that and the labels that get assigned to us. And so I went through that whole lens of the journey of trying to understand people's experiences in corporate, and how do we even make it better in the corporate environment, to,
Yeah.
now on the other side of it, understanding it's like we're all neurodivergent. The
Yeah.
only ones who are not neurodivergent are the people, in my opinion, are the people who are so plugged into the matrix that they're able to like just follow
The
blindly.
NPCs.
Yes, the NPCs. Like that's kind of the lens through which I sort of feel. That's exactly it, right? Like I went free guy with it, right? Like
I love it. No, yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
and I know I'll probably, some people may be offended by that perspective, but I've come through the different gates of understanding and deep dived into, really the neuroscience around it, and, immersed myself in reading. I'm in a book that I reached out to an author. She wrote a book on, ADHD for women. And then she wrote a follow-on book, and she wanted to understand like our experiences. So she, like I wrote material for that got published. Like I've seen the gambit of the different labels and how we look there. I genuinely feel like the vast majority of us are highly, where I land now is we're highly sensitive humans.
100%.
Right. We're highly sensitive humans. Some of us are a little more tuned in to being able to feel the energies around us.
Yeah.
Some of us are still, not yet there. And whether or not we are meant to be, what we are supposed to be, I can't answer for that. What I can say is like, I know now that I'm understanding energies, that these are one and the same. Neurodivergence and highly sensitive human and my ability to read energy are all intertwined.
Yeah. I think it'll be so interesting in 20 years when like the term neurodivergent is seen as barbaric and they just are like, yes. All these kids coming up are just, and you think about the evolution of mankind, the evolution of our species and how we shift and change. And you also think of how like the advancements of technology and what we're exposed to has gotten so much faster that it's changing us at a much faster rate than ever before. It's like people 100 years ago, the way that how long it took for them to change versus us now is like night and day, right? Like it's because we have so much more coming at us, so much more information, so much access, faster access to information and changing technology. But I just feel like we're going to look and be like, yeah, like this is literally who we are. And everybody is and that's also part of the shift into the cross of the rising phoenix that we're moving into with human design, where it's like, it's about acknowledging the individualism, the uniqueness in each individual person, and using that, propping that up so that we can individually express. And when you think about it as like instead of it being a hierarchy, when you think of it being like a web, like you're this part of the web. And the more that you are aligned with your own individual expression, the stronger that part of the web is. And then everything branches up from there. So I want you to be as unique as you can be and feel supported in that so that you can do your part to hold up everyone, right? So that's basically what it's all about. That's like, it's funny because human design was created by Ra-Uru-Hu, who was a really negative ass person. He was real negative. And what's that word that I'm looking for? It's like when you are just like negatively oriented, like you're not pessimistic. He was a very pessimistic person. And so like empty. A lot of the languaging in there is like, oh, he was not that happy of a man, but that's okay because the energy behind it, it's like, so he saw as being more of like, it's more about individualism, but not necessarily like what I just said, where it's like the reason that we do that is because when you are secure, centered, and deeply enmeshed in your own unique gifts, you're the strongest expression of person that you could possibly be, right? You're the most magnetic person. You're the most aligned person. So if we make sure that everybody is getting to that, rather than trying to fit people into these positions that we need them to be to keep this pyramid up, right? It's like, it creates such a stronger structure. Okay, so let's get into the comments a little bit. Okay, Solar Age says, the pandemic allowed us to see the core of ourselves and the collective simultaneously. I agree with that. I feel like during the pandemic, it was the best time of my life. And I know that sounds a little insensitive to say, but because I was able to have so much time by myself, and just in the quiet and the stillness, I was able to do a lot of deconstructing and a lot of deconditioning during that time. And I rested a lot. And my projector asked me to, I was like, nap time. Nap time. Okay, Sen says, so true, community can be online. The solar age, and without escape, we had to face ourselves in the mirror, whether it was suffocating or not. LMAO, that's a funny story. I wonder if I'm neurodivergent. And then Pacific Tree Frog says, that series was so good. What series? What series is she talking about? Oh, and your sister says, X Bliss 1111 says, Indies came to change the world. Let's go. So neurodivergence came to change the world. Let's go. The Gnostics called NPCs pneumatics. Really? I did not know that. I'll have to look that up. Are you familiar with that, Benny?
I'm not. That's definitely, she's more on the Gnostic side than me. Yep.
Oh, Hilix. Oh, she said, sorry, Hilix. Pneumatics are us, the NDs. Gnostics called NPCs Hilix. Those who are plugged into the matrix and no desire to awaken. Very interesting. And I love that conversation too, because it's like when we think about our roles, right? And our soul's incarnation of like who we're going to be in this lifetime. It's like my personal belief is that we can bounce from like expression to expression, because at the end of the day, our soul's purpose is to find balance and level. So like every situation has two sides, like two poles, and it's like we're finding equilibrium. So this life, I might incarnate as Amy. Next life, maybe I incarnate as someone who is one of the Hilix, like somebody who's just like, whatever, you know, like my NPC ass is just like, because we're getting the different experiences. So it's like, I just always make sure that when I'm thinking about that specific topic, I'm always just like, that's what they chose to be. You know what I mean? Like there is no better or worse. And then, and for some, from some people's perspective, like I'm as, you know, like I'm like that, you know what I mean? No matter how awakened I try to be or whatever, there are always going to be things. So it's like, there's so many levels to it, but it's so interesting in the context of like how we see our world unfolding and how we see things happening as to like the different roles that are taking place. I love thinking about that. Okay. Okay. Is there anything you want to talk about, Vinny? What do you want to talk about? Was there anything that was coming up for you?
Probably not for today, but I definitely want to throw it in the community and start and think a little bit more on something you said, right? Is I think something that gets, for me personally, my perspective on the incarnations and the different lives. Mm-hmm. I think it leads a lot of us. It definitely led my thought path down a thinking that there is a before and an after. Mm-hmm. Right. Like there is a timeline, and my current basis of understanding and rooted in quantum physics, right, is we're simultaneous. Right. And so it is the different incarnations of us versus the you know, like the way we use the discussions around past lives versus, you know, what we're going to be in the future, or that, you know, we bring things into a timeline when what's been coming up for me is retrocausality. Mm-hmm. Learning more and starting down that road of understanding retrocausality is that we impact the present moment from a different version of ourselves, not necessarily in a forward backward motion, but in a simultaneous motion. And so like that's one that I'm still trying to like integrate an understanding that helps me in my day-to-day life. And frame things as I walk, you know, that this is for all versions of me.
Yeah.
This is for all experiences of me in every version. Like when one of us learns this, then and broadcast that out, then we all can tune into that. That kind of is where I'm trying to head in my understanding. The other thing that I wanted to mention, going back to neurodivergence, was I was a few years ago when the telepathy tapes came out. This is it was a podcast centered around the autism community, specifically the nonverbal autistic community.
Okay.
And their ability to communicate with one another telepathically.
Wow.
And the unique experience, it was a documentary series on, following several members of that community and their experience in the neurodivergent community, suppression of that information.
Oh, wow.
And carefully trying to find individuals who would talk about the fact that their children or they themselves are telepathic and they can, tune into your mind. And so that really kind of opened me to another perspective of thinking about neurodivergence and, multidimensionality. And so, I definitely think that those were, that was one of the stops along the journey of my learning about neurodiversity, but also learning about multidimensionality.
Yes, I love that. And when I love it because some of the things that I say, I feel like are more tuned to like the beginning of my journey when I was doing like past life regressions and things and how it was taught to me. But I realized like, for me, how I see it is like a Chinese checkerboard. Like, there's like, and all of these different things are different versions of yourself. And there's a grid that you're all connected to instead of like that linear of like, oh, we're going forward and backwards, forward and backward. It's like, it's just a boop. Like, and I love what you said about like, we can connect in with any fucking, version of apparently I'm very like ardent about this. I'm serious.
You are. Let it out, girl. Let it out.
Any version of yourself.
Yes.
And get information from that version of yourself, and communicate with that version of yourself. And so yeah, I love the fact that you said that. And then when you think about what you said, like we're all a part of the same soul. There's like oversoul, there's so much. So we're all just like connected. So tapping into versions of other people as well to get information. And just we're just pulling from the field. So, and I really do, I think that's, people are already thinking about it in that way. And the whole past life conversation is getting just a little bit antiquated because it doesn't take in all the nuance and really what our experience is. But I feel like in that time, that's how we could understand it, but we're just like moving past that. Like, cause the topic was like, what? Past life? But now it's like, it's more than that. Yeah.
Now we have the Akashic record of like, this is just kind of where we're starting to change. And it goes back to that telepathy tapes, right? They have kind of a concept of the hill where the nonverbal autistics go to a hill and they literally describe it as kind of this place where they meet telepathically and converse. And, you have individuals who are downloading entire language sets, like can speak Farsi, can speak, just different languages that they have no day-to-day experience. That is accessing a layer of all of us.
Yeah.
All of the collective understanding and collective knowledge of creation, not just not just the traditional humans as we would, so that to me is, a fascinating area. And so that's why, again, it comes down to how do I operate in my day-to-day to break the loop that I, that causes me to like not want to get out of bed or not want to this, right? Like where do we bridge between I could learn Farsi if I had to, if I really tuned my antenna.
Like these people are up on a hill communicating in different languages and I can't even make a coffee. Like what's going on?
Okay, so that brings me back to being in a community of people that are helping me learn different ways to do this.
Yes. So this is what I would say to that. It's like there's so much. But for me, and I'm really speaking to myself, when I think about like what I'm going to take from this conversation, right? I'm like making sure that I'm in alignment with myself, making sure that I am giving myself the things that I need so that I can have the energy, because it takes so much energy to heal, deconstruct, and decondition my mind, my body, like my emotions, because that's what's really keeping us from, and we can do it, right? Like we do it, we access different levels, we open our open our channel so that we step into more of our multidimensionality. We're doing it, but it's like, how do we make it more, how do we make it easier for ourselves? How do we make it more automatic? How do we make it and build whatever we need to build so that it's more like seeing or touching or tasting, that it's just there, as opposed to somewhere we have to like go, right? Or like something, a state that we have to get ourselves into so that we can then channel. And the thing that keeps coming back to me is this healing journey. I feel like with what we were talking about with the energies of the planet shifting and so much happening and like this ascension thing, the thing that we can really drill into is where we can getting that, what am I trying to say? I was going to say descaling. That sounds painful. Like releasing the things that are coming up to be released. And a lot of the stuff that we do where it's like we're trying to develop our intuitive and multidimensional gifts, we are doing it. It's like there's a layer of like, what do we need to do like to get in there? But then also realizing that a lot of it is just leaning into our joy and our passion, allowing it to be fun and light, because some of the conditioning is that everything has to be so hard and that anything that's worth anything is going to be hard to get. And it's like, that's not even true. Not even nature. You know what I mean? Like, how hard is it to elicit a giggle out of my 4-year-old son? Not very hard to make him laugh, but his laughter is literally medicine, right? So it's like, so allowing it to be fun and whimsical and allowing yourself to flow. I think that especially for people like us who are very mental, it's like sometimes getting into that mode is the work, you know?
It is 100%. And that kind of goes back to, right, that inner child work, right? Is yes. I oftentimes have to remind myself to go back to, I saw somebody the other day that prompted us to think about, like, when was the last time as a child that when is a potent memory where you were just unencumbered and free? Like, what were you doing? What was before all of the programs set in? What did you want to be? What did you want to do? And, you know, and I can just remember a version of myself, like dancing in the living room at, you know, my family's house, and just like that childlike energy.
Yeah.
So important. And like the squirrels that I see climbing outside of my tree is another thing that I, you know, use to remind me of that. It's like they go about their day, you know, yeah, they're hustling to find nuts. They're chasing each other in trees at the same time though, right? Like they're feeding themselves, they're taking care of themselves, but they're also playing and frolicking and existing without, you know, the same level of, how do I break the loop?
Yeah.
Right? Like, not me projecting like my human behavior on a squirrel. They have a different, but still, like, like, be respectful. It's, you know, yeah. I think for me, it's just trying to come back to center on a frequency that I, you know, when I get lost down the mire. Yesterday was a lot of mire. You know, my sister and I were going through a lot of emotional upheaval. Thanks, Mercury. Thanks, you know, Chiron. Thanks, Barbo's basket. Like, there's a lot of things that are bubbling up in community and internally that are causing us to have to deal with those shadow patterns. Yeah. Like, shadow is what adds the contrast. Yep. Like, we can't. And as much as I absolutely hate it when I'm in it and I want to throw a fit and a tantrum, I want to scream and yell, I know when I'm on the other side of it that I needed that contrast to give me the perspectives that I have today.
100%. You know? Yeah. Okay. Do you have time for one last topic?
Yeah.
Do you have energy? Okay. Because you saying that made me want to talk about the TikTok that you sent me yesterday. The one about when people have a situation where they're on a path that may be more spiritual, that may be more into spiritual arts, and then they do a left turn and go either back to Christianity or organized religion in general, or go there for the first time. And guys, this creator was talking about how sometimes she believes what happens is that they come to a spiritual initiation, meaning that they come up against something that shakes them so radically to their core that it's like, oh, it's a fork in the road. It's a break. It's like, I have to either go through this thing that's so hard, so challenging, so scary, or I'm going to make a left turn and head on back to where I came from, or over to the side, right? And so this woman was talking about specifically as it relates to like these, sometimes like we see with Doreen Virtue, with, what was the lady's name that she was referring to? Do you remember?
The Kat Von D.
Yes.
Kat Von D. Okay,
Yes. Or even that Tarot Reads lady that
Alex Reads Tarot. She's here and dear. She was the one that I was like, oh, okay.
Yes. So this TikTok creator was saying that specifically she believed that it was like a experience with like a demonic energy that scared them to the point where they felt the need to go to Jesus or like go to God or whatever. And like they felt like whatever. So I wanted to, so since Minnie sent that to me, I so wanted to get her perspective on this live around that. And I'm so excited to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely shocked me because, so for example, for Alex Reads Tarot was one of the first tarot readers that I found on social media. And like, I was like, what is this? Like she was, you know, discussing the Bible in different ways. Like she would, you know, I could tell that she had a Christian background, but she was talking about, she's reading tarot. And I was like, how does this work? Like in my brain, and it resonated for me. And I think because she was very much a bridge between those two, you know, the types of individuals that came from, you know, strong Christian religion backgrounds. So she acted as a bridge for the last almost 4 years for me. And she does daily tarot readings. Like she's on my FYP. Like, you know, if she's showing up on my FYP, I am listening. And so when she shows up and says, I'm done with tarot, I'm going back to the church, there's been this, you know, wildness in the community, a lot of opinions on it. And people are, you know, that particular TikTok that I sent you, that's a creator that I came across a few years ago. And this is a repost of hers. Like she was actually said it in her comments. She's like, I'm reposting this because it feels like it's, you know, valid right now. And I was like, really interesting. For me, the stuff that we've talked about, even the stuff that you talked about earlier on the live with it was the Palladians or Arcturians. I don't remember which.
Arcturians.
Or even the story that you mentioned about your husband's, you know, the mimic energy, right? Like I'm at a place where I definitely want to have those beyond the veil experiences and energetically meet, you know, these individuals who are, you know, that I can't currently perceive with my sensory body. I want to perceive. I've definitely experienced some nuances to that. You know, I posted in about the little dragonfly experience. And I was like,
I love that.
That's a way of easing me into communing with other entities. And so I can imagine if I were to drop in and have an experience like any of the number of experiences that you've described, that it would scare the shit out of me. And like I would be like, I'm out. I don't want you know, an entity in my bedroom when I, you know, those, because there's a lot of like movie and book, TV ideas that are implanted around evil spirits, demonic spirits, and that going back to that conversation of good versus evil. Like my psychology attaches a lot of meaning to that. And that, you know, evil, that energy is bad there, you know, or is evil, and it means to do you harm. And it's like, I have to deprogram some more of that before I would be ready to come up against. And so as I can understand how somebody that might have hit that point, as that, as this creator was talking about, if you were at a point in your journey where these things are being revealed to you because you have energetically aligned to that, and then you weren't ready to see it.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, that would scare me. I would want to run for the hills. I don't think I would run for the hills at this point, but it definitely would close me off.
Yeah. It's shocking. Yeah. You go through a period of shock afterwards, and your perception is a little bit skewed, especially like initially. And like the thing for me too is, and this is something that I talk to here a lot when it comes to my clients and my customers, because this is so real. That fear is ingrained in us on purpose. And it's not just like, oh, it's going to be scary. It's like this being is going to take you over, and you will lose your immortal soul, and you will be damned forever if you come up against something like this and lose, basically. And so it's like, and so that is in our heads as a collective, right? Like every religion, like almost every religion, like that's where the fear comes from. And that's a very valid fear. The idea of losing your soul to hell, like that's pretty intense. Like, dear God, like by like coming up, because that's what we're taught. These demons want to like take over us and take our soul and take it to hell. And like, then you're effed, right? And so undoing that for me around what was going on, and the catalyzation that was happening, the alchemization that was trying to take place with each of these incidents of like what it was actually doing. But first, like getting past the fear, because it's very scary. It's like, but we are trained, and this is something that I learned actually in one of my human design courses, where it's relating human design and like spiritual aspects. It's called cosmology. And it's like, what is this thing coming to do to expose for you, right? So like once you go past the fear, there's something right on the other side of that fear that's like this crystallized lesson, this like diamond lesson, this pressurized lesson that is right there for you, but you have to go past that and like into the experience. And it's just like people should, but because of the ideas that we have, it's very, very scary. It's something that we absolutely have to deconstruct at the time. And even like, I still have experiences. I'm like, what the, like, like, wow, like, right?
And I heard some really interesting stories on TikTok of people that, interact with other entities. And some of them are like, very sweet, and some of them are not. And it's just like, I equate it, for me personally, where I'm at in my journey is it's kind of like Harry Potter versus Voldemort. If Harry Potter had face off with like Voldemort and at the very end, at the very beginning, right? Like, to me, it feels very much like I'm a newbie in the world of energetic, like I am, but I'm not. It's like, I know what I'm capable of. I know it really is very simplistic, but at the same time, that installed fear makes me, in some of the community speak, also makes me feel like I'm not ready to face off with an entity that, in my perception, could be magically more powerful than me, and right? When really the reality is you have to just walk through it in your own authority, right? Like what you said on earlier, you're like, in the name of Jesus, right? Like that just simply being able to integrate that awareness of how I used to invoke that belief, and that the power of that belief is just, it takes some practice, but it really just takes belief in that authority, in your own level of authority. And so, but I will tell you, when I'm like in my bed and the house is, quiet and I'm alone and I hear a bump in the night, the level of anxiety that my nervous system shoots up and is like, if I open my eyes and there's something in this room that's like, there's something is like non-human or is human, right. I'm gonna pee my pants. Yes.
I will pee all over this bed.
I'm gonna piss myself, okay? Like I've definitely had those moments where I'm like, okay, I believe in, I know that there is there's many things that I cannot currently
Yeah.
perceive in my reality. But
Yeah.
like, am I ready to interact with it in the middle of the night? I don't think so. So,
Right. Yep.
it's just getting to that place for me.
Yeah.
It's
And it's like, it's so great too, because it's like little by little, like these little experiences that you can have that are not that full-fledged thing, but
mhm.
getting used to other people's negative energies and how it affects you, right? Like getting used to the negative energies that are coming from within and like looking at them and being able to transmute them on purpose in real time. Like that builds that belief system of like, oh, I can manipulate energy, I can move energy, I can shift energy away from me, I can bring energy towards me. And so when you're like stacking these practices that really just show you your own energetic power, then as situations come to you and you're like, no, like I was having a conversation with someone very close to me, and I could feel their energy that was just heavy. And I was like, nope, don't want it. Like, let me erect a wall of light so that it can't come through to me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, the energy didn't come through to me. And the person was agitated after that because they are used to being able to emotionally discharge into me, and then they feel better and then I feel like shit. And so but so they're like, I could tell there was still so like they were just the energy that they had was they were like, I'm very unsatisfied with that because I wasn't able to offload, right? So it's like
Yeah.
those different awarenesses and building those muscles get you to the point where you're like, holy crap, I'm very energetically powerful. So you don't have to go from like young Harry Potter to oldest expression of Harry Potter, like getting rid of Voldemort and just like that, right? Like there's so many steps in between there. And that's why these conversations and just being on this journey is just so important because we get to see it and we get to do it. I was so interested to hear your perspective on that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, does anybody have any questions let us know in the chat. Let us know if there's anything that you guys want to talk about. Thank you, Minnie, so much for spending this time with me. I just adore you. Ever since we first had our conversation in our like meet and greet, I was like, oh, I just love the way you communicate. Okay, we have your sister, Zen Bliss, 111. Zen. I don't know why I have a hard time with that. Says, yes, sister. Retro causality, the version of who we are being in every right now, 100% shoots all timelines. Love that. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Love that movie. Shifts. Okay, not shoots. And then I've absolutely seen this happen to souls. I feel like it's fear putting its hooks into them, like during virtue. Yes, that's the one that I was mentioning before. And that one was just like so wild because of how prominent she was in the New Age community. And then, I love Arcturians. Yay! I know. I love working with the Arcturians too. And I feel like the different groups of extraterrestrials that have come and like communicated with me really tune in on the different parts of me. Like the Arcturians are more mental, so they like really vibe with my mentality, like how my brain works. And like when the Venusians come in, it's like more of the heart energy, more of that. And so it's like they choose people to work with and like knock on your door. When you are especially mentally clear, they'll like come in at that time and like start working with you. It's a very interesting, or when you're doing like deconditioning of the mind and like coming back into alignment with who you really are mentally, that's when that particular group will be like, hello, like, okay, you're in a vibration that we can really like get in there with. It's really, really fun. Okay, let's see. The Solar Age says, when I was a kid, I loved studying animals. At 32, I'm finding joy in getting back to it now. That's really awesome. Really beautiful. Okay.
You mentioned the Arcturians. I want to mention, so there's a channeler, his name's Lee Harris, and he wrote Conversations with the Z's. And he was on My Embiolic's podcast a couple of times now, and one of them was just talking about channeling, other entities, and his group of 88 like celestial beings that kind of come to him as a singular-ish voice.
Yeah.
And that was my first foray in, like, a lot of people end up in the Star Palladian, Arcturian kind of, avenue. For me, it was the Z's, apparently. Like, I ended up over there, and Lee's story really resonated with me. But, like, he recently came on to talk about, like, and so what you said about where you feel it, where you hear the different entities, like, he's like, it's going to be, like, kind of up and to the right is where I'm going to hear the voices. Like they come in at this panel. I was like, that is so fascinating when when you hear things in different locations in your energetic field. It's happening.
Yes.
Sense because we're just amplifier. We're just big giant, like, there's a guy that I follow on TikTok that gets real heavy into sound waves, and then it goes into sacred geometry, and then like he'll do a huge breakdown into like how all of it works, and it's over my head, but it's enough that I can see the big picture. It's like, we're just basically just big like amplifiers and transmitters and receivers, like we do it all. And so we just have this bouncing energy field. So like it makes sense to me that like a focal point would exist in our field. So as you were describing that, I was like, oh, that's really a neat way. And at some point, some point, I think I will tune in to our, all of these different entities. I'm going to start small with the dragonfly.
Yes, I love that. Well, and after you posted that, like a couple days later, there was a red dragonfly, a huge red dragonfly. And I was like, oh, Minnie. And I was like, yeah. And it actually let my son and I get really close to it. Like, it was just like a couple feet away. And I was like, all right, let's walk really slow. And, like, up to it. They're like, we're not afraid of you. Like, we're dragons, literally. Like, we're not afraid of you.
Yeah, we're like this little guy, like, he flew around, like, watching, I say he, because the name that came forward was a male name. Yeah. Just flew around me and just, observed me. And I finally put my hand out and I put my finger out and I just waited and just landed right on my finger, and it was just like, okay. And then did it multiple times at that point. And I was like, that's how, for me, that's going to be the bridge to be able to interact with other conscious beings is, let's start with something that's familiar and let me be able to hear that conversation. Let me be able to tune in, so then I can understand how to turn it on and turn it off with something that's familiar. And then I think I will be ready to like move into the realm of like, okay, your corporal body is not something that I can, physically touch or see, but like you exist nonetheless. So
yep, that's how it was for me too. That's exactly how it was. Yay. Well, thank you so much, Minnie. This has been absolutely amazing. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for everyone who has joined us and was in the chats and communicating. Thank you to Minnie's sister, ZenBliss1111, for your input. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Anything else you want to put in, Minnie?
Just like, I'm going to plug the community, right? Like, you've built a beautiful like sanctuary for women in this space to be able to have these kinds of conversations. So like, it's been vital to me to be able to have those calls, to be able to jump in the chats, to be able to throw out what I'm thinking about and hear the different takes on it. It is not an echo chamber. Like, we're not all, experiencing the exact same thing all the time. It is very much different takes on things. And that's what I love. So just thank you for building a community and for having me on and getting to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. That means the world to me to hear. And I'm just so glad that you found the community and that we get to be in there together with all the other ladies, because everyone's so amazing. So if you are watching, there is a link for the High Frequency Tea community in the bio. Go check it out. See if it resonates for you. If you feel drawn there, definitely come join us. So thank you for saying that, Minnie. Okay, guys, have a wonderful Sunday, and we will talk to you next Thursday. Well, I will on my live, and I'm going to do it at about noon. So we'll see you then. Bye, guys. Thank you. Have a great day.